pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll go through a correspondence. And Jim, you were just talking about what we had.
We talked about last meeting, I think John Paul mentioned he was looking for another mower.
Okay.
So he went out to Kerry, and between them they worked out a deal for the mower that he wants. Is this 48-inch John Deere, and he got it to 2543. And John Deere, Kerry will pick it up, fix it if it needs fixing, bring it back without any charge, for fixing it. And then we got quotes for Raptor, Z-Beast, Hustler, two Hustlers, Husqvarna and Aaron's, and they're all significantly higher than his quoted John Deere.
Okay.
So if we're gonna buy one, I'd recommend we buy.
Don, would you be able to tell
Okay.
us what he has in his commodities or contractual?
He's just out of county general, so he doesn't have a budget.
He only has a salary line item there.
And you guys, he's just as part of the overall thing.
County generally would be our budget for that.
So I would suggest when we buy it out of the capital improvement.
Okay, since that's where we put more money in, okay. And maybe when, we should probably discuss that with him, make sure everything is agreeable. Jim, I think, did.
Is he
I
coming
think
in today?
Yeah, he brought me all the stuff.
Okay.
This is the one he wants.
I don't think he's on the.
He's on Thursday, isn't
Jim, no, well, he's on Thursday for his
he? His
evaluation.
review.
What do
Jim
we do?
told him that he would present, so.
Ben?
Jim told John
Oh.
Paul that he would present.
I'm sorry. What do we do with the old one?
We'll leave that out where it is, and he can beat up on the rocks and stuff out there.
Well, we were talking, remember last week,
Okay.
that they use that sometimes to mow over by the highway department, and that's rockier and, it's bad conditions.
You won't
We were
get
gonna keep the old one.
But
and
we're
it's
only
over.
getting a servicing agreement for the new one.
Yes.
So who's
Yeah.
gonna service the old one?
Yeah.
He'd change oil on that, that's simple. Well, make sure he does.
Okay.
Because that's just,
And
a
any
lot
more
of
than that, you gotta take down, if it dinged the deck.
Well, and
you polish
sharpen
stuff, you gotta
the
take it
blades.
down anyway.
Well, you gotta sharpen the blades and stuff, and yeah, the basic maintenance.
It all depends on how much he wants to do.
Is there
Why don't you transfer that ownership to the highway department and their mechanic can change the oil, sharpen the blades and do everything they need to the old one? They can even have the labor to.
To
that
run.
sounds
The old
good.
one, yeah, give them the old one.
Give them the old one, and
Is
that's
it
their
all the-
response.
If they're gonna just mow the north lot with it, isn't that all highway department?
Yeah,
I move to transfer the current mower under custodian to the highway department and approve the purchase from John Deere and Ellsworth for
Another circle.
$2,543.23. It's a Z355E.
48-inch cut.
okay, do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, we had a motion and a second to transfer the existing lawnmower that John Paul uses to the highway department with the understanding they can use it to mow and also maintain it would be their responsibility. And then we also, and part of the motion is to buy a 2020 John Deere Z355E Z-Track for the price of $2,543.23. $2,543.23. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. None opposed. Okay, very good. We'll move on. I have a little bit of correspondence. Charlene Bashman called, and she's part of the Lincoln Library Board of the local one. And I guess we were requesting, I told you, I emailed you about it. They were recommending Kathy Moss be on the Central Kansas Library
Who
Board.
recommended?
Their whole group. Charlene Bashman did, but Kathy Moss hasn't personally asked.
From where?
Well, she just called me on the phone. I don't know where. She's part of the Lincoln Library Board.
On the very top
Oh,
of
it's
that
up
piece
here.
of paper that Kathy brought in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just gonna.
No, that's okay.
I should have read it off of here. Okay, here is official application for county appointee
Okay.
to Central Kansas Library System. County and the Central Kansas Library System, Lincoln, the Lincoln County Library, Public Library chooses to propose the following Kathy Moss to be appointed to the county commission, by the county commission of Lincoln County to be board member for a 4-year term. board member may remain on the board until a successor is appointed. And shows the duties, which is attend the May and all this.
She wasn't the prior board member appointee.
I don't think we
I don't
had
know.
one.
I just read the email that they sent us that they were requesting one, so I just posted online that we were gonna, appoint one. So I don't know if they heard of it that way or the other way, but, so this is the Lincoln Carnegie Public Library's nomination for
Yeah,
an
that's
appointee.
what it
I got
says
it,
there.
okay.
So, we wanna,
I think we wanna act on all the board appointments at once.
okay, so what is table this until later?
Yes, but we
Okay.
have several requests for different boards
Oh,
now
yeah.
that we can look at.
Sure,
Um,
you want that?
Hit it with the other.
Okay, alright. Okay, and then also Jonathan Shale called last week, he had the, state inspector was there, fire marshal was there, and they inspected the nursing home and found down in by the boiler room in the basement, there's a fire door that goes to the boiler room area that he did not like, it had some rusting out or rotting out on the bottom, so they wrote that up on us, so.
You need one that'll work.
I got one, thank you.
So Jonathan, stated well, and so he was gonna get some bids for replacing it, cause we'll have to fix that for the fire marshal. So we probably need a new fire door down there, and he was getting 2 bids, DH Pace and then also a place out of Wichita. So for now, I don't know, that's,
We don't have to act on it
No.
until he brings us bids, but
Right.
we know that they're coming.
right, and fire marshal knows we're pursuing it, so
Okay.
everything's going on with that,
Well,
okay?
if I may interject while we're on the nursing home subject, I also have correspondence from the nursing home. Not from the nursing home, but about the nursing home.
Oh, excuse me, forgot to turn it off. This, Jim, we're in a commission meeting.
Okay, so I had contacted the company that's currently doing our elevator,
Oh, yeah.
asked them to go up to Lincoln Park Manor, which we informed them when they visited us. So they've done that, they prepared a bid, it's $225 a month, but that's an ongoing service contract where they can call them out and they only have to pay, like, travel time. The repairs are included in our monthly contract, they do the yearly inspections and greasing and all of that stuff that go with the maintenance. But then if something actually happens, they can be called out, and they'll be available even after hours, I think, is what, I'll have to clarify, cause he sent me the contract, but regardless, what he also did was give us a reduced amount for the courthouse, because he said we don't need coverage after hours here, we're not even open after hours here. So we're going to get that same contract that would be $225 for $165 a month. Plus, if you pay the whole year's amount in one check, you get a 3% discount. I did this because we had gotten correspondence from Kone, which is the other company that's currently, or has last year done the nursing home. And it's not really comparative because Kone wasn't doing an ongoing maintenance. They were just coming once a year, charging us $2,000 approximately, that's an estimate, to do the yearly maintenance and system check, or whatever you want to call that. So I think that we need to go with ThyssenKrupp. I actually talked to them, and I did talk to Kone, and there's one other company I think in the whole state, but that's it. There really aren't, the one company that was recommended to me, they're not even in business in Kansas anymore. They pulled out of the state, so they're in other states but not here. So there is a kind of a minimal pool to look at. Let me pull up
So, the outfit we currently have now, are we under contract to them this year, or?
No, everything ran out, so we're in February already with nothing signed.
Nothing, no new contract. up
Right,
front.
and he gave me a 3-year contract at a locked rate and I would highly suggest we go with him for the courthouse, because he's giving us that discount from, what is that, 225 down to 165, so that we can recuperate, because we were paying almost $400 a month for the last several years. So he's trying to, this salesperson for our district is letting us recuperate some of that money with a discount, because we've been paying for 24/7 coverage when we're not even open after 4:30 p.m. So I think it's a really good deal, especially from what I looked at with Kone, which does not have an ongoing service. It's like a once a year, what they're doing up at the nursing home. So we're almost gonna switch, if we do it this way through this company. They will be servicing the nursing home, so they can come out at any time if something happens there. But here, we're paying kind of for the minimal coverage because we're only open from 8 to 4:30 anyhow.
Do we need to wait and see what's gonna happen with the sale of the nursing home?
Well, we don't have to sign for 3 years on both. I highly suggest we sign for 3 years on the courthouse.
I agree with that.
We
yeah.
could do 1 year.
1 year with them up there.
Mhm.
And then if we get into some sales agreement, we would all those contracts and leases are gonna have to be reevaluated now based on changes.
Well,
Right.
as we said now, the lease runs out on the 22nd of November, so it's nearly a year anyway.
Well, we could at least cover it for this year,
I
knowing
think
that
that'd be wise
it's a
enough.
minimal expense compared to if something really happens and then we have to do an emergency replacement of it or something like that, just to be in compliance.
I don't think they hardly use that nursing home elevator anyway, cause it's in that
Yeah, it's
west
in the
part.
back,
And
yeah.
that's not even open to nobody now.
Well,
That
they
is-
used to, it depends on whether they go back to
But if you had someone that,
Assisted living.
assisted living.
oh yeah.
Right now, that's not, there's nobody back there now, but I mean, we need to keep it maintained though, you know,
If
just,
they go back to
I
that, I
think
don't
their
know why
laundry facilities are downstairs, aren't they?
oh, is it? But that's over on the east side, isn't it? Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, yeah, you're right, for assisted living, they're downstairs.
What did
they
they
got
say,
their
a 3%
conference room and all that
discount?
stuff down there, but that's,
The big ones are,
but if they open up, that assisted living again, then you need it all the time. We use it all the time for that. But that's another what if, but I think 3 at the courthouse and 1 over there would be adequate.
Okay, I wrote a new proposal for your location, this is the courthouse, that would save you significantly on your monthly service, previously 488, down to 165.
Hi, Denton? Yeah,
So
I
this is
come to
called the
meeting now,
gold
Commissioner,
service
so let me talk later.
agreement.
Thanks, bye.
And full coverage on parts repair and replacement, quality assurance, around the clock, at least by phone, and then overtime service request, you will pay travel time and expenses and time spent on the job, but that's,
And you're saying the company we have now is,
we are using this ThyssenKrupp in the courthouse,
Oh,
which
we're
I
not-
would recommend that we continue to go with them.
okay,
Because comparatively, we're not gonna get the same, they're actually giving us a better deal than we're gonna get anywhere else, because
That sounds-
they've collected almost $500 a month from
that
us.
sounds fine with me. We wanna make a motion to do it right now?
I do.
Can we combine that with the high-rises elevator?
The high rise.
That's the city,
The city pays for that?
I think so. It's a different elevator, it's a Montgomery elevator.
Well, that's their business, city budget stuff. That would be a,
But I didn't know, if maybe we get a deal if somebody did all 3
Well,
elevators.
I think what we need to do is just tell this company to go look there, at least get
They could-
permission from the city to look there.
yeah, give them the cities, tell them we're using these guys and they may want to. That way they could just talk to them about it.
Okay, so,
That's you need to read that, Randy.
let me,
Okay.
may I just move forward with this part, at least for the
Yes,
courthouse,
yep.
and we'll continue to talk about Lincoln Park Manor. I move to approve the gold service agreement with ThyssenKrupp elevator, or it's actually ThyssenKrupp, but
it's pronounced weird, but.
yeah, it's German, TH,
Actually,
ThyssenKrupp elevator, for 3 years. With annual payments to receive the 3% discount
I'll
for
second
the
it.
courthouse.
for the courthouse, thank you.
And not the nursing home? This is just courthouse?
Correct.
Okay. I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second to, do what Alexis stated, I can't remember.
It's $165 a month with a 3% discount if we pay it once for the year. So I recommend we do that, and it's through ThyssenKrupp.
That's the gold standard with Tyson.
Yeah.
What, that was her motion.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
we can vote.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
You wanna do the nursing home too then?
No, we'll just wait.
Okay, are we done with that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to another,
Jennifer gave me that this morning,
oh, this is,
and that's the RMA stuff, as I recall. And
No.
that's to go into the highway department. She said you probably wanna read that in here.
road maintenance agreement. Okay. Do we wanna read the whole thing or review it later, or, cause it's quite a few pages here.
What's the letter have to say?
I'll just read the letterhead from County Attorney to the Lincoln County Board of County Commissioners, Road Maintenance Agreement. Dear Commissioners, it closed. Get my glasses. Please find the revised road maintenance agreement. I have reviewed the document, and I approve the same subject to the following revisions. The addition of a fee for oversized loads in Section 1, subsection H of the revised agreement. It is my understanding that Smoky Hills is willing to pay for said oversized loads, and then the amount should be decided by the board. It is my understanding that neighboring counties are charging $25 per load. All other revisions have been made as requested. Please review the enclosed agreement for final approval. I thank you for your attention to this matter. Very truly yours, Jennifer O'Hare.
Yeah, she said the only issue remaining was how much we wanted to charge per truck.
She just said that it's her understanding it's $25 a load in neighboring counties, so I assume that's Ellsworth.
Yeah, that's what Ellsworth said, the other week. So we wanna review this later, in detail?
Yeah, I think we need to look at it before we actually sign
Okay.
it, but
Why don't we go on to we'll
yes.
table it for a little bit for right now, maybe go
Yes.
back to it later. We'll move on to some other correspondence. Hi, Rod, how are you?
Hello.
We have some, tax abatements. One, control number 201919 for Stuart Trumbull, in the amount of, for a $62.66. Did not have car trailer on 1/1/19 for a car trailer.
Oh, so they charged you, you didn't own it then? That's the deal?
This is part of it. Did
Must
not
have
have-
sold it, I guess,
Right,
before the year started, so is that what that means, John?
yeah.
I'm assuming.
Then we have another one for control number 201918 for Lincoln County Hospital and Health Care Foundation.
What's there?
It's in the amount of, it's a net change in assessed value, applicable mill levy, and net change in levy tax dollars.
What's the
For,
location? Lot 14 and 16 on block 23.
okay,
That's from the Lincoln Park Manor?
No, the
Yeah.
Oh,
hospital
the hospital.
foundation.
Oh, that may be the house across the street, is what I'm betting.
It looks like it's an empty lot though, because it would have a house number if it was a house. I think it's just an empty lot.
Not necessarily.
No. I've never seen one without a house number if it's for a residence.
Yeah, well, they do. I'm only going with the funeral home, but we had 5 lot numbers and they never put an address, they just always put the lot numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, on all their tax stuff.
so the net change is $504.28 because of the applicable mill levy value of it. I don't know how they determined the change.
Well,
unless
did it
it's-
go under a nonprofit?
Yeah, or
It
an
probably-
unoccupied house too.
Or transferred to a nonprofit? Yeah.
Anyway, you wanna look at?
Exempt beginning 8/9 of 19.
Do you know anything about that, Rod?
It became exempt.
What-
He's,
Rod, I know you were did talk to us a little bit later, but do you know about this tax abatement?
Well, what she said is exactly right. They applied for exemption as a 501c3 organization.
because that's when they bought it,
I'm
or
not-
it got approved at that time or something.
I filled out the exemption application, and I think that's the date of first use. I don't think it's exactly the date they bought it.
So are these empty lots?
No, it's the house, the greenhouse on North Street. They're just south of the hospital parking lot.
So the county tax portion was $504.28 for the year. It's now being,
Well, it's everybody's portion, not just the county.
well,
City, school.
we only approve the county portion though.
No, that's the whole amount. It's wholly tax exempt now, so that would be the,
I don't think we can, we do, the city amount?
yeah.
Lincoln City Center.
Okay.
Okay, well, do we wanna talk about this and pay table it, or?
No, we approve it.
Okay.
That comes directly from the appraiser, so.
Okay,
This one too.
okay, I'll make a motion to approve, tax abatement of control number 201919 in the amount of $62.67 for Stuart Keith Trumbull.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this tax abatement number 201919 in the amount of $62.66. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, none opposed. Do I need to sign it or something, or we all do, huh?
Yeah, you do.
It's on the
at the
second
bottom.
page.
You do, yeah.
Okay. And also, okay, now we'll have, now, do you wanna have any discussion more about this, hospital one?
No.
Okay, I'll make a motion then to approve 201918 for the Lincoln County, tax abatement for the Lincoln County Hospital and Healthcare Foundation in the net change value of $504.28.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve tax abatement 201918. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
So then who notifies the city when something changes from taxable to exempt? The appraiser's office?
They don't get notified,
No?
that I'm aware of. Their taxes just get cut.
Okay, we got a,
Well, there's 500 left.
well, next, we'll go on next here to more business. From Cummings Sales and Service, Lincoln Park Manor, we got this bill for $699 received. We went to this last week, right, on this?
Which one is it?
That was the one with the, service contract, I think, to,
Oh, yeah, this is on their
The generator at the
Yeah,
hospital.
yeah.
what were we waiting on? I forget.
What
What
Jonathan
is it?
say about that? It's a service contract and the
Oh,
generator or whatever.
Well, no, we did determine that this is the amount that's in the contract.
Right.
I was mistaken and I thought we paid this as a one lump sum. So I guess this is just our
That's
annual
true.
bill for what, and it is broken down.
Right.
So that $699 was the fuel and
That's
then.
what I thought.
Yeah, so
So
we
we
can,
just-
you sign that.
Okay,
We don't
just
need
sign it.
we don't need
Alright.
an official action on it. We had already approved the contract.
Okay. All right, we'll go on to the next one. Looks like we have another bill here from Phoenix Supply for the nursing home. The amount of $51.85. That's for a handle
That's fine,
repair
yeah.
kit, closet repair kit. I guess that's all. You don't see it?
No, it's,
What,
I think that's a,
a handle? Why can't Jonathan do handles?
no, that's the handle itself.
Oh, okay,
It's not
that's the
it's
parts.
not a repair bill, it's the
Alright,
parts.
it's the part.
Yeah.
I'll just sign it.
I don't see a problem with it.
Okay. Then we have a cereal malt beverage request here,
Well,
not,
we approve all those.
which we usually do, don't we?
What?
Cereal
cereal,
malt beverage.
Yeah, there's no,
We never disapprove a beer permit.
I don't know, you never know. Depends on who's selling it, yeah. All right, well, we'll go through, we have one from Knotheads at Wilson Lake LLC, which is at the lake there, right, Shoreline Road. And they have the appropriate paperwork.
Is that in our county? I thought
Yeah.
Knotheads was right on the line.
I think it is,
it
because,
is, it's our county.
and they have the appropriate paperwork, what is it, filled out here. They need two of them.
Well, it
For consumption.
depends what they got.
Well,
One's
for
consumption.
sale and open, for one's for sale in original and unopened containers, and not for consumption on premises, and one is for consumption on premises. Okay. You guys have any questions on those? You wanna look at it?
I guess that doesn't violate the federal no alcohol on the lake requirement.
Well, they selling it on land now. If somebody wants to take it out of the lake, that's not their problem.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve, this retail 2020 cereal malt beverage license for.
I think we can do both since they're
Yeah.
the
Okay.
same.
On and
Party.
off and then
Yeah.
on.
Well, there's two licenses here.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve both, one for sale in original and unopened containers, not for consumption on the premises, and one is for consumption on the premises,
I second that.
okay? Motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion?
Nope.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. We gotta sign something here, Don?
You will sign on the very last line where it says chairman above
Okay.
it,
Okay.
and you'll do that on both of them. I don't think you have to sign the application, you just have to sign the certificates.
I don't see where to sign.
On the certificate itself, at the very bottom, there's a blank line.
Sure.
Oh, over there. I saw your name kinda clear.
I assume this is the hospital board packet?
And you'll need to do both.
Yeah, that's the package today.
Sorry, I just wanted to
Yeah.
expedite this. We don't need to do these minutes right yet,
No,
okay?
we'll get.
This is your
Mr.
report. Let's just
Broberg
go ahead and
up there.
open
Right,
these.
okay. Thanks. This is a packet for the hospital board, right, Rodney?
Do you wanna read that one?
From Gary Jones, Larned, Kansas, Lincoln County Board of Commissioners. I am interested in being reappointed to the position of board member, Barnard Rural Fire Department. I'm a landowner and reside in Barnard Rural Fire District. I am a current member of the Barnard Rural Fire Department. I look forward to the opportunity to serve the residents of Barnard Rural Fire District. Gary Jones.
There's also a section of Prairie Grove Cemetery, if that matters.
I don't think so.
They don't have to be appointed to that, haven't you?
They're not receiving any.
No, you can't get off of it until you die.
What's those?
Okay, this is our portion of, if you just skip to something to meet.
Lincoln County Board from the Kansas Historical Society, talking about our court.
The approval for the main street for the National Register of Historic
Right.
Places.
We are pleased to inform you that February 1, 2020, the Kansas Historic Sites Board of Review approved the nomination of Lincoln City Downtown Historic District to the Register of Historic Kansas Places. The board also recommended approval of listing for the National Register of Historic Places. We will now forward the district's nomination to the office of the Keeper of the National Register in Washington, D.C., where we will be evaluated by the professional staff. If they concur with the findings of the Kansas Historic Site Board of Review, the district will be included in the National Register of Historic Places with 45 days of receipt. We will notify you of your decision at the earliest opportunity. A draft of nomination is on our website at blah, blah, blah. No further action is required. Any more do we need to read?
No.
That's enough for now.
One more piece
Is
of
this it?
correspondence, that's just the list of registered places.
Does that go with it?
Mhm. From Don Harlow to elected officials and department heads, I'm excited to announce that Sarah Hegman, I hope is that Hegman? Has accepted the position of Lincoln County Human Resource Officer and will begin her duties on Wednesday, February 19th. She will work under my direction until the point in time which I feel like she is ready to go out on her own, with a cap of 6 months hopefully, right?
That's
Um,
further down.
Okay. Sarah has been a resident of Lincoln County since graduating from college and has currently served a multitude of roles, including human resources at U.S. Towers. Sarah will be at the PIC meeting from 4 to 6, which is Thursday, by the way. to meet department heads and employees and become acclimated with our benefits. These are my goals for the first 2 weeks. Acclimate her to county benefits program and policies, including but not limited to the handbook, drug testing programs, performance evaluations, FMLA, FLSA, and ADA compliance. Start training on payroll, meet all department heads and visit with them regarding their specific needs, and meet all the employees. For the upcoming year, goals: become standalone department within 3 to 6 months, institute background checks, including policy and procedures for all employees, assist the commissioners in creating a pay scale and plan, assist department heads with evaluations, return human resources to being actively involved with advertising and interviewing, as well as provide training to supervisors on appropriate interview techniques. Meet with employees and department heads regarding any employment-related issues, implement an orientation plan, employee recruitment, plan and implement job safety, and help make positive changes. If you have additional ideas, we would love to hear from you, and we will be sending her to educational workshops throughout the year, and then she gives some more information. My one thing is exit interviews. I put that on the one list you had though for me, but I think that could be helpful in the future. Just and a succession planning. That's big, big, big.
Okay.
So thank you for letting us know that officially, Dawn. She starts tomorrow.
Do we have to
That's exciting.
approve her wage, or is that?
Yes, I'll do that when I get
Later,
on, even
okay.
though I just.
All right.
We have one more. I'm sorry, I'm just looking
Well,
through
we
the
wanna
emails
get
here.
Rod in here because we're
Sure.
getting time going. What do you got then?
This is to the commissioners. This is long, so we can read it later. I think you must have gotten the email too.
What's
maybe.
what's the topic?
It's Mr. Gersman is requesting to be on the hospital board
Okay.
for one of the open positions. So
Okay, yeah, let's
it
review
also
those.
came to our commission email. So.
We'll review those.
Sure, we can. Yeah.
Rod, would you please, we have you coming up here and it's 10:30. And I asked Rod before to just come today to discuss, we had discussions about you reapplying for the hospital board, and we were discussing things here. We just wanted to get first of all, I wanted to get your opinion of how things are going up there now. I know you're dealing a lot with our new CEO. So what do you think's our current situation right now?
Well, I think we've picked the right person for the job. She seemed to hit the ground running. We did have a little hiccup there. She went back to Iowa and got put in the hospital for 4 days. So she's back now, but that cost us a few days. So, but you know, it's a ship, and you don't just turn a ship on a dime. So
I had a discussion with her last week, and she seems to think she's been making some changes up there, as you well know, and she spoke that you were helping her quite a bit coordinate a lot of the things that are going on. So I was just wanting to discuss with you. You requested to be reappointed on the board, and what do you see as your goals for this next year? Try to keep the hospital operating, obviously, right?
well, yeah, I mean, we need to get it turned around and get a handle on the spending, which I think we've put the obvious things in place in the short term, and within the next few days, I'm expecting that we'll see a restructuring plan for the whole hospital. I think we'll eventually operate with quite a few less employees. Not sure how that's gonna actually happen. That's Gene's #1 task right now, is to put that plan together. We've also preparing or talking about taking a look at everything: pension plan, health insurance, purchasing.
I discussed with her at a meeting the other day, and you guys are going to, I understand. But one of the things
Have you met with her, Mr. Gableman?
What's that?
Have you met with her personally already?
and I know you're going, but anyway, she stated one of the things the hospital health plan is, she's concerned about that, so that was one issue. And I just wanted, do you guys have any questions for Mr. Broberg? Because we were discussing you being reappointed, and I know you've been on the board, and I think I know we went through some turmoil last year or two, but I was thinking you were pretty instrumental in helping get our new CEO here, and I think you've been doing a good job now to help the hospital. Do you guys have any questions, Jim or Alexis?
What's our status of a new CEO?
We have, we've talked about that a couple of different times. A month ago, we talked about it and kind of tabled any further action on that until the meeting this afternoon, which will happen this afternoon. My feeling is that with the state of things, we would probably not be able to entice a very good candidate to come here. I think we need to put things right and achieve a sustainable operation before we go out and start looking for somebody.
Okay,
Do our two doctors, do they work nights and weekends? I've heard both ways. Are they on call? Do they come over? What's the deal on that?
At the present, they do not.
Okay, and the second thing is there any thought of talking to Dr. Dragoni when he gets his license back, which is imminent? He has indicated that he would be happy to do calls at nights and weekends as a doctor.
You know, Jim, that's a question that's for the board. And
Well,
if
that's-
you
I'm
want
bringing it up.
if you want my opinion, I'd be glad to give you that, but, you
I
know,
just
those are
bring
kind
it
of
up.
board questions.
This is a what if that we're gonna have to think about because you're gonna make the offer one of these days, and I thought I'd give you a heads up on that.
Well, he's already made us the offer informally. And we also are pretty sure he's getting ready to sue us, so I don't know how that's all gonna play out.
That's gonna be an expensive proposition, no matter how it goes, just the way they thought of it anyway.
Well,
So,
I have a question, just
Go
if I
ahead.
may go along
Jump
with
in.
that line of questioning about the CEO situation. You said you've discussed it, there's been no action taken, obviously you're gonna talk about it again today. How do you say her last name? Jean?
Gochi.
Gochi?
Gochi.
Mrs. Gochi had indicated that her intentions were to stay no longer than 3 months if that's possible. And it's my understanding that it takes 90 days at least to do proper searching and potentially interviewing and whatnot. So how has that not been discussed with her? I mean, it sounds like there's a communication gap there.
Well, I'm not sure. I think initially when she looked at us, we thought 90 days might get it, but we've talked about that some more, and I think it'll be a longer term thing.
I discussed it with, I had a meeting with her, like I said last week. She thinks now it'll probably be 6 months.
Okay.
she said it was open-ended.
Okay.
Yeah, and
And
because
she did say that originally, but she was
Right.
hoping, you know,
she's trying to get us into the black each month, and
Mhm.
then she's gonna
so
make
she, her reassessment
cuts
is
and
about
stuff,
6 months
and
instead
so,
of
and then like Rod stated a minute ago, that once we get a stability of, operating, then maybe try to get another CEO in there, because I think like he just stated, someone doesn't wanna come here if we're in a, not a very good situation, you know, they don't wanna come here if we're not in a,
Well, that's why she was hired, because that's
Right.
what she does. She
Yeah.
comes to an unstable,
right, situation.
tumultuous
Right,
position.
As I was talking to him, I brought up an idea that she really liked, and that's to make Lincoln a geriatric retirement community. And she thought that was a great idea, and we talked about the various facilities. And in fact, she indicated that after her term was over and they hired an administrator, she might be willing to stay here and be the coordinator for that program. So she was really jumped on it. And I think it's something we need to pursue, and I need to talk to economic development and other people. We got everything we need. Those folks come with money, plus every old person you get to take care of, that you have to take care of, is 3 or 4 or 5 younger people that have to move to town to take care of. So there's a lot of pluses here. We're looking, demographics, Lincoln County varies approximately 50 people a year. And the people coming, going, and babies born, we have a net loss of about somewhere between 40 and 50 a year. Because the people moving and going and the babies born are pretty much a zero effort. So in
Yeah.
a 5-year plan, we're talking.
That's actually a negative 1% every year.
But also,
Actually,
that doesn't take into account the high school kids graduating and leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, the
all
whole-
that-
the
that's all-
negative 1%
that's all.
does.
Oh, okay.
It's been 1% per year on average for
Yeah, so you're
25
talking
years
50
or
or
more.
60 people a year. In
Yeah.
5 years, that's 300 people. That's a significant loss of population. And
Yeah.
so all of the things that we talk about, the hospital too, and we talked about that, when I was over there. But it's one of the things that we need to consider is we're going to have a decrease in population, which makes it harder and harder for the hospital to, plan an increase in, money coming in. Because, there's just not that much money. And she's well aware of it. She is convinced, and I am under her leadership, that she can make it turn around. She thinks she's already got it turned around, pretty much right now. And she thinks if you, counting the other 250,000, whatever it is we owe her, if she had that, she could almost guarantee she'd be in the black from now on with her policy that she's about to put in place. So I'm very confident in what she's doing, but that's the way I see, as her term is indefinite and open-ended.
Okay. Well, I only have one other question while we have a board member here, since we just took that house off the payroll, well, tax roll. What is the plan for that property?
Well, it's been, I'm gonna just say this board, I mean, for years and years, there's been discussion of a new clinic. Now, whether that ever happens or not, I don't know, and I'm not pushing that at all.
But you were, when we had this discussion a few months ago,
Well,
you and Mr. Granzo were both speaking to me as if that was an inevitable great boost for the economic situation of the hospital. So what happened
I
to
think,
change your tune?
no, I think that it's still possible, and I think that it's desirable, but given that-
How is that possible and desirable when we clearly see in the budgetary process that the majority of the loss is happening in the clinic?
Well, I don't think we can do it if we have to pay for it out of operating revenue, but there's grants and there's other money. I don't know, that's not even really on our radar right now, but I guess the
Well,
point I'm
it
trying
is
to
on our
make.
radar because we just lost $500
Well, I know,
income
but-
this year because of your plans.
Well, I'm getting
So-
to that, It's been the policy of the board since time immemorial to own real estate and control real estate that surrounds us, okay?
Why?
Well, just because if you ever wanna do anything.
You wanna expand, and you don't.
Then you don't have to go out and, condemn land or, so it's been, and lots and lots of other organizations have done the same thing. So I think that was the mindset. Now,
What other
we as
organization?
look at Salina Regional. They own blocks and blocks and blocks around
I
Salina
hope
Regional.
that we're not comparing Lincoln County
Well,
Hospital to Salina Regional. Is that really
You asked me what other organizations do it. And
right?
many
Because
of
you're
them
using
do.
it as a justification for the action.
No, I'm not at all.
Oh, then
because
why bring it up?
Because you brought it up, I didn't.
No,
the
your
hospital-
response to me was that you're doing it because other organizations do that in case there's a plan for expansion. Then you comparatively use Salina Regional. So I'm still questioning the line of thinking here because when Mrs. Gochi was
Okay.
here and I said
Let's
about
just-
a plan to
stop,
expand,
stop.
she basically
The
was
hospital board
surprised.
did not buy the house. The hospital board did not buy the house.
okay,
The healthcare foundation bought the house.
okay,
So it's the thought of the foundation.
uh-huh.
And I'm not on the foundation, so I'm just sort of assuming here or supposing that, they bought the other house over across the street. They bought that house, what Alan calls the Coke house. And I assume if the house on the corner, I don't know who lives there, if that's ever up for sale, they'll try to buy that too. Simply to control that property around the hospital in case there's ever a need for it.
What's it cost for the house that we just did the taxes on annually? What do you have to pay? You have to pay utilities, insurance, what all you have to pay? What's that cost a year to just own that?
I have no idea.
Well, that's where Dr. Johnny used to live, that one, right?
Well, that's the other, the one that we did was on the south side of the hospital.
Oh.
We just did that. But if it didn't cost anything, I don't see any harm because
So
you always like to be able to expand. If
The-
you had to buy that later on if you ever did expand, which is
the
probably
current
unlikely.
the current purpose of the house is to provide housing for transient employees. And the cost to the hospital is that we pay the hospital pays the utilities. So, and then the hospital's charged nothing for for the use of the house.
I'm not opposed to housing people that you have to come in to work.
Right.
But my question pertains to, you've been on the board now for a whole term, you're seeking a second term, which is apparently why you're on the agenda, but what is the plan there? Because just a few months ago, I was attending several hospital board meetings where I was told by you specifically, as well as Mr. Granzo, that your intent is to expand by expanding the clinic, which shows the largest portion of the loss in the whole budgetary process, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. But yet you're comparing ourselves to Salina Regional to say, well, in case we need this expansion project. Meanwhile, we just brought in a specialist for $15,000 a month to cut. So I'm still really confused.
My point in that discussion that we had was that, you know, it was not my intent to convey the fact that we think we're gonna go out next year and just build a new clinic, okay?
I've actually seen the emails where you were just
I think they were.
where you were discussing
Well, I
the
think they were.
$2.5 million request from the commission to do this.
I think
So
that was
I'm
at one time,
confused.
I think that was one time last year in the middle of the year, I think that was some of the intent. But now, when we see what financial situation we're in, I think that's completely off the table now, Alexis.
But you
Now,
brought up the
back then,
perfect point. You
well,
brought up the perfect
six
point.
years, 6 months ago, they were talking about it, I don't think they realized the financial situation we're in, so now that's off the table.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. You brought up the perfect point. 6 months ago,
So,
in the highlight
So-
of the financial crisis, was when the board was planning the expansion. I'm still
Could I,
confused
could I
about
talk? Could I
Yeah.
talk?
that. I was
Be okay?
responding to him.
Would it be okay if I
Yeah,
talk?
yeah, please do.
Okay,
so, the point of, that I made, I think, in the meeting that I think you're thinking about, was that if we could build a clinic without having, through grants or through, you know, donations or whatever, that helps our operation in that a part of the Medicare reimbursement scheme is our cost approach. So we get paid based on our costs, okay? So a part of that cost is depreciation. It's a big part of our cost. So if we could build a clinic, or anything else, I mean, in addition to the hospital, or, you know, whatever, I don't know. Through financing that's not out of our pocket, then we get to put that on our books, and that becomes a huge cost of our, or a huge part of our cost report. So that helps us on the revenue side a lot. So that
Because
was
you-
the point. of
Because
that.
you've increased assets or capital improvement out there, you depreciate that, and then Medicare sees that depreciation, and they give you more money.
Depreciation
In a
is an
nutshell
ex-
here, that's what we're talking about.
That-
Which
that's
is
an
an insane way to
expense
operate, in
that
my opinion, but that's the way
reimburse us.
that's the way Medicare operates.
But
But
think the
you
thought
get
through.
less
Let's finish the
patients.
thought.
You get less patients. You gotta get paid per patient.
Yeah,
But
And the
let's
patient
finish that
load is
thought.
going down.
You're trying to say that the capital investment in the beginning may be paid through grants, et cetera, so you're not absorbing that capital expense in the primary investment, okay?
Right.
But the net income for the clinic is negative. So whether or not you expand the operation, the net income is negative, and the Medicaid, Medicare reimbursement is 80%, so you're incurring a 20% loss. So no matter what your overhead expense is continuing on into the future, it's increased for a secondary location, because I assume you're not gonna demolish that end of the hospital that's the clinic. So now you're paying additional utilities and additional upkeep and maintenance for a second location annually. Forget the principal investment of the one-time upfront cost. I don't care if you pay for it for grants or whatever. But you're actually increasing the overhead for the hospital. And is that going to be proportionate to the increase in the Medicaid and Medicare reimbursement? Because you're still never gonna get 100% coverage for any one particular billing.
You know what? You just take my name off. I didn't come here to get lectured by you.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't understand math, but that's
You
math.
understand that.
I'm sorry, Rod,
Right.
turned out this
Take
way.
care. Oh, by the way, when are you interviewing your next applicants?
We haven't. I didn't know you were coming here for an interview.
Well, I ask you to just because I think you're very knowledgeable and have helped the hospital a lot, and then you helped get Miss Goshi here. And so I'm sorry, Rod, it turned into this. And,
Never mind.
cause I was wanting to have you on the board.
Well, Randy, if I knew you were gonna invite people to interview, we'd have brought everyone in.
Well,
And
I
I'm
just wanted
sorry,
him.
that is basic math skills.
I just wanted him to discuss his position right now. I ain't in for interviews today.
What's next?
Well, I guess we're up to Leann.
We have a Windfarm CD coming due on the 23rd. It was a 9-month CD at Bank of Tusket.
Do you recommend rolling it, or what do you want to do?
Well, they're still the best rates, but do you wanna do a 9-month, do you wanna do a 15-month?
What is the dollar amount portion that's
What do you mean, the dollar amount?
your CD that you wanna read?
350,000.
350. And you said in the money market we have what, 1.8? Or no, what was it that you told us? That was not the CDs from the web fund. You said you had a portion of it that was still left in money market.
I would say probably 3 million, I'm not sure. I'd have to
Oh,
go
I thought it
look.
was, okay,
I'd have to go
okay,
look.
I was out of memory, I thought you said 1.8.
Do you have your idle funds here?
Yes, there.
Not a whole lot of difference in those two.
No.
I mean, they're the same, 171 on both of them.
Yeah.
Is there any advantage to taking the short one? I see no plans for using that money anytime soon, do you?
I would say the longer one, cause the rates have been dropping a little bit.
That looks like,
We can only do maximum 2 years, right?
Right.
well, I'd do the 15 and 171, that'd be good if you're gonna get probably.
Yeah. What is your allotment, like, to do an investment there? You have 350 coming out of one that you wanted to roll into this one.
Mhm.
Did you wanna add any to that 350? I mean, I kinda wanted to, we have a lot coming due to roll over, so I just wanted to make sure we still have some available funds this year if we're gonna do a big project, because we've talked about that. So, that 171, I mean, that's definitely, you're not gonna achieve that by going any longer, cause we can't go over 24 months.
Yeah, it's 171 in any case. Are the rates gonna go up or down? That's the question nobody knows.
Yep.
I thought you told us 1.8, did you find that, Randy, with the, I have the treasurer's reports here.
Not on any of these three banks. You get a 5-year for 189. Then you have to go to 4 years to beat the 171.
Right, you can't, so,
I wouldn't do that long.
no, but if it's only gonna be 15 months to get that max rate, just
Well, you
because they
get
have
same-
that.
same
So
rate
15
9
months is okay, but I wouldn't go longer.
The 9 and 15 are the same rate.
Oh, I see that, I'm sorry, I missed that.
The thing with the 9 is in 9 months, the rates could go lower.
Yeah.
At least you're guaranteed the higher rate.
I think the Fed, God blow, is gonna go on interest rate.
15 will get you through the election cycle, and then things will be a little stabilized. This is, in the next 9 months, it's gonna go wildly up and down, I would imagine. I would recommend going to 15.
Yeah, I don't think.
And more than what she's rolling over with,
I really
what's
don't
in there
think
now?
interest rates are gonna change at all.
How much do we have in the money market?
I'm looking, I did not put this in the right
I
order.
wouldn't bring
here.
any of that. Here, you want this?
No, it's in this report.
Yeah, that's a
16.
monthly, these are just our monthly, you got your copy there. I got one too, that's our monthly,
Well, I understand that, we don't talk about money much in there.
Which bank? Bank of Tuscan.
Fourth quarter, hold on.
You want this, Dawn?
No.
Probably not.
Has to be.
I'm not used to your side, so I'm not sure. I show 832,905.18. And then that's current balance.
No, Bank of Tusket.
Bank of Tuscan, Slim County. Or Slim. Windfarm, here, you look.
Second quarter, third quarter. Where is the last
they're not gonna change either way much,
I just wanted to see what the available was.
yeah. What's coming due here, or what? We was wanting to keep some in money market, right, if we wanted to
That's
spend some and stuff.
exactly, right. But I thought she told
We
us.
have like
Oh,
1
here's fourth quarter.
We have 1.6 million, we just went through this, right?
Here's fourth quarter.
We have like 1.6 million in.
I thought it was 1.8. She
Well,
has,
About 830 in each bank.
so 1.6.
Yeah, 1.6.
Okay.
Well, you wanna keep that in money market? What was you wanting to spend it on, roads this year, summer?
Materials.
Material?
We only have a $200,000 line item for materials,
Oh, yeah.
which is not gonna get us far.
Well, we wouldn't need, both of them, we could probably put
We don't-
800 in one bank, we have 800 in both banks.
Well, and we have more rolling over, so I'm saying if you wanted to take whatever portion of that 1.6 to add to your 15-month one, since that's a pretty decent rate, I mean, it looks like some of your other, it's dropped down from some of your other ones, cause you had 2.5% almost on some of these. So,
Well, how
but
much-
these are all coming,
how
I
much
mean,
do
we
we
have
wanna
April
keep out?
coming due, May coming due, a few more, so I think she should take whatever you think out of that 1.6, not the whole thing, but.
Well, how much do we
Well, how
wanna keep
much
in
do
money
you
market?
think?
Yeah, in the money market, we wanna
I
keep,
think we need half of it now.
So 800,000 plus this to go into the CD.
1155.
how much then we keep in money market?
When are these rates good until?
No, probably week to week change,
Who knows?
but probably not much, up or down.
But it comes out on when, the 23rd you said, or something? What did you say?
23rd, it matures.
Federal Reserve Bank sets these rates and they're about stable right now.
Well, I'm just looking at, we have another one, she's talking about this too, this is gonna come from 2.5% down to 1.7 basically, is what we're looking at, cause the one that comes out on the 23rd. And then she has more coming out at the end of next month, April. But that,
End May, I believe.
is that 500,000 there?
Yeah.
That, okay. So I'm just looking at ways we can roll that money back in if we need, we're trying to come up with a materials purchasing plan. And it is gonna cost a decent amount of money. I don't know what that is yet, but I just don't wanna see all the money wrapped up to where we can't make our purchases, cause we may be looking at shifting prices as well for that. So, not that you have to put that whole 800 in there, I'm just saying, don't you think holding back half
Then
is
we-
800,000?
If we put 800 in, then we have only 800 in money market, is that right?
About, yeah. So you're doing the 350,000 plus the
Plus-
800,000, 11,500,000.
55, give or take.
Or round it off to whatever number you see fit. I don't care about micromanaging that part, I just wanted to make sure we have some funds available to withdraw.
So then we still have 800 in the money market if we need for,
Right, and then April comes another one due, and that one's at
okay.
2.23%.
And we're doing it to 1.71
1.70.
for 15 months, yeah. That's probably the best deal.
That's right now we have one at 1.4 and one 1.5.
This one here.
Or no, the one, yeah.
That one you got marked.
The one at 1.4 is still in there till 2021.
And you recommend Bank of Tuscan here, I guess Bank Citizen State doesn't have something that good, huh?
No,
Nope.
you might have it in 17 cents just to make it hard to compute.
Would you?
That's gonna be
I think we
1155 or 25.
I think we should invest it
55,
in
wasn't it?
growth mutual funds, Leann.
Yeah,
About 10% a year.
that'd be good.
We can't, you limited, right, by federal law, or that you have to be FDIC and bank insured.
Or pledged, the
Yeah,
bank's
Yeah,
pledged to cover it.
state, yeah,
okay.
state statute.
Do we need a motion to do that?
No, I think she's just coming to,
Review.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
We wanna
Thank
do
you.
evaluations
yes.
while I'm here.
Well, what's our agenda time slot? Let's
Well,
see. Two,
I was late getting here.
well, no, we were after the hours, though,
Well-
after time.
we went a little late. How long was it?
Actually, we have,
Brendan's on. now.
let's just, can you come back down, cause we have a time slot after him. Would you mind if we just put him in now since it's his time slot?
So when do you want me back here?
15 minutes?
Okay.
We're about half.
Or, oh, he's on till 11:30.
Okay, be back at
So 11:30
11:30.
to 12? Thank
That'll
you. Or anywhere in there, I guess.
Nice.
Next victim.
you done any calculations whatsoever as far as material costs, just on a grand scale? I'm not asking
If we
if that'd
put
be
1
done already,
inch
but.
of material at current pricing, 1 inch thick on all of our gravel roads, which is just Band-Aid fixing, that'd be Band-Aid fixing everything, including areas that
Which is
didn't quite
500
need it.
miles approximately, is that what you're calculating by?
You're looking at, if we purchase all of it from local quarries and not our own material, you're looking at over $1 million.
Now, that's 1 inch is what,
Yeah, what,
is that
1 inch
roadstone?
roadstone?
That ain't
That's
road-
1 inch rock, not roadstone, but rock that would be
Quartzite road.
quartzite rock. So it comes off a gradation. So in that booklet, I believe you guys have one as well.
So it's, okay, so 1 inch rock at 1 inch thick.
I'll skip to this portion.
Yeah.
So here is ASHTO specifications for materials. So for fixing subbase, basically areas where we have black poking through our roads, you need a number 3 stone or number 357 stone or an upper 2 stone. That's, so if you look at the size
Yeah.
number,
Yeah.
so 3 and 357 are here. Could not find a table that
And this
also
is
had a
the
number 2.
thickness on the right hand side.
The right hand side is,
Millimeters,
and inches.
2.5 inches or 3/8 of an inch clear down to, we don't need to look at any of that other stuff.
So the first column, that is the size classification from ASHTO, standard regulatory industry. The next one is this nominal size opening, so roughly what the material is. So number 3 stone is 2 inches to 1 inches. That means you're basically not going to have anything under a 1 inch size. That number 3 and 357, also like a 28 stone, are what you use for sub-base repairs. For road surface repairs where you have bad potholes, water sporting, things like that, you use Pennsylvania and Eastern Coast. They use a number 467 stone or a number 5 stone. For us here, generally what's been seen used in Kansas is generally a number 5 to number 68.
For what?
Road surfacing.
Surface. So.
Yeah. Because if we had 2.5 inch rocks, people were driving over, we'd be losing tires left
Oh,
and
yeah,
right,
yeah,
and people
yeah.
upset.
you don't want
Like,
too
you're
big.
saying
So-
the first columns down to 467 are base, or sub-base you call it, because it's not the actual if you were building a road on the base.
Probably to 3 to 357 is sub-base.
Okay, so what's 4 and 467?
That's like East Coast.
Okay, so
Road
mark
surface
those
materials.
out. So then we're looking down to a 5.
A number 5 to a number 68.
And what are we looking at as far as a thickness to repair? So obviously
So
when
the road surface, for areas where bad washboarding, you're going to need 3 inches, 2.5 inches of material.
so this max column is what we're,
That's just the size. So like if your rock, if you took a sample of it, you would have, on number 57 stone, if you took a sample of it and graded the sample out, you would have no rock bigger than 1.5 inches thick in it. Then you would have up to 10% or 5%, 1 inch or bigger. And then you would have up to 75 to 40% above 1/2 inch. So it's kind of counterintuitive. This is saying percent passing.
okay, but when it gives us the numbers in the columns under the thickness of, or is that?
So that's the type of, that's, no matter how thick you lay the material, if you take a shovelful of it, correctly sampled, you should have, when you get the measurements of it, you should have,
Is that a percentage?
yes.
Okay, that's the percent, that's why it says 100%.
Yes.
Okay. So at a number 5, you should have 100% material that's
Smaller than,
finer than 1.5 inch.
Correct.
Okay.
That's confusing as hell.
But we need
Sorry.
to know
This damn,
prices.
this,
Yeah.
this graph is confusing. as
so
hell.
pricing 1 inch stone, which is a number 57, locally here is around $28 a ton. A contract hauler I've contacted with, bringing the material back from the Florence quarry over by McPherson, he said with based on their prices in the haul, he's looking at $25 to $30 a ton.
It's cheaper than APAC?
Comparable pricing, but he would be hauling it from Florence to us.
Well, and yeah, we don't have to use our own manpower trucking.
We would just have to dump it because we wouldn't be able to,
You'd have to store some and
Store it,
do,
and then do
So
the
it's cheaper
project.
to bring it from McPherson than get it local.
Same price, basically.
Then why not get it here?
That's just it.
just manpower time.
Manpower, or if they
weeks,
don't
or
have
we
the
can
Well, we
material,
have to be on a truck.
or if
Huh?
they if they don't have our material, if they don't have the material that we need here locally, it's going to be comparable cost to hire a contract hauler to haul it from like a Florence quarry or a Ham's quarry further away.
It's also a
But
logistics
we won't-
thing.
No, but I'm saying.
They're not gonna be able to bring it to
Or
us
we
as
gonna,
fast
we're
as we
still
can
gonna
do
have to,
trucks.
so if they haul it, well, then we don't have to haul it from Quartzsite out of here, so.
Exactly.
That's part of it, but we
We
still
don't
gotta
have to-
spread
We,
it.
we would,
that's all.
yes,
Yes.
we would haul, if it
Well, I'm
was,
just
if we
saying, if we're
purchased all the
spending $1
material,
million
yeah,
bucks, but if we're spending $1 million bucks, it'd be good to spend it in Lincoln County.
Agreed.
yes.
I
If we're,
agree.
and it's just
Yeah.
if we need a sub-base material and they can't make it here locally at the time that we need it, and I'm sure if with enough planning in advance,
But we
they
don't
can
have
make
a-
Or
it.
let's say
We don't have a deadline schedule here to do
No.
things.
No, but let's say we have a 3 to 5 mile on Union, like that entire section. We're better off to get people to bring it to us so our manpower can be spreading and doing our own.
What they will have to do is probably, we'll have to build a pad somewhere for them to stockpile it, because they're gonna be doing it on a backhaul, so it's not like we'll have
Well,
8
then,
trucks
yeah, you're better
constantly
off to-
running.
Well, I'm
It
just
would be a
saying,
backhaul
we're
type.
talking this kind of money, if we can support
I-
Lincoln County,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
all. I'm not against out of county.
No,
just
I
give,
agree.
just giving all the options.
I know.
So, with this said, Friday I went looking through our attic there, because I'd seen a box that was labeled sieves. That's what these are, sieves for different sizes to maintain gradations, so that way I can sample our own pits.
Mhm.
The box is empty, and I talked to the guys, apparently they sold it on Purple Wave years ago. I'd
Yeah,
like to
I've
purchase,
actually been told, and I brought this up to you before, but I've been told that we were doing our own sifting of sorts.
Sifting?
We had a sifter.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Well, and he's talking about the
We don't
sample
have it.
sieves, and we sold that, and we haven't done that in a long
Scale.
time. And then when I brought that up, that's when the
well,
MSHA
I
thing
wish, yeah, I
came.
wonder if we could do our own from
We-
pits.
we can do it from our own pits.
Make our own good quality gravel.
That's what I would like
But
to
what
do,
would
but I
that
have
cost
to,
for,
I,
what would that cost?
a few. Your sieves for just purchasing online, I was gonna talk with the state to see if they have, the state supplies some materials occasionally to locations. To see if they had a loaner set that we could use for a while.
How much?
You're looking at $2,000 for
Two-
a scale. and
2,000?
Yes.
Well, that ain't nothing. If
Just-
we're talking millions of dollars in real
Each one of them or the whole
But I
set?
still think
For the
that's
whole-
more of
for the
a
set that we would need to do our
long-term
job.
plan.
I'm not against
Yeah.
what you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm saying long-term, we
I
should
mean,
do our own.
We're not,
Yeah.
I don't need a shaker machine, I can shake them. Normally, I mean, there's
Yeah,
testing
they
qualifications
got,
for your
I
shaking
know you
machine.
can spend
We don't-
2,000 or a million for a
Yes.
sieve, depends on how big and how
And
quality.
shaking machines and washing, we're
Compared to
not
like-
gonna wash material.
I'm sure APAC's got a real big one
What
down
can we
there.
do as the minimum without being subject to MSHA standards if we're,
That is just us digging the rock out, the stuff out of the face wall
uh-huh.
and shaking it ourselves by hand
Before we-
and checking, like panning for gold, how they
Yeah.
sift it
Right.
in there.
Then the
That's all
rocks
I
come
wanna
to the
do, so
top.
that way I can check and make sure this gravel, I'll know the quality of it. Does it fall within our specs that we need? No, it doesn't. So then I need to know.
But we're
What
not
I can also
talking
move it.
actually
Not
sifting
actually-
it for loads and
No,
loads.
just test-
because
just
that's-
testing.
test.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you're just talking a
assume
little,
that
you're
Just
talking about
testing.
testing machine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
a
much
shaker
would it cost
screen,
for a real one to make our own material?
a used one, you're looking at $15,000. You'd have to supply power to it, and then we would be subject to MSHA. All of our employees would have to be trained.
And maybe
Yeah, but if
it's-
we have this gravel trouble with roads in the last, since I've been here, since that was not there.
So, I wish there was a whiteboard. I'll just draw them out.
Well, you don't have to do all
I'll
that.
just show you real quick, because our gravel pits, the type of deposit is,
I know,
we
you
have-
got layers of it.
yes, you have your sandwich layers like this.
Right.
The hash mark being clay layers.
Mhm.
What you'd expect to find when you come to a pit like this is you would have a big pile of clay somewhere, because you would push your rock and sand one way and you would push your clay the other way, so that way you didn't, because in this rock and sand here you do have clay-like particles and clay particles. If there's not enough clay, then you would haul from this pile of clay that you pushed aside for reclamation purposes, then you would mix it.
Yeah.
What looks like what has been happening in the past, because I have not found a single pile of clay in any of our pits, when you can see clay clearly in the walls. It's just all been pushed together. So
Right. That's what
just from
road
looking at
set.
how it was
We
done
know
was that they were pushing, and so that's why some roads are great, some roads are terrible, because as they were just pushing it straight off, they'd hit that layer of clay or a clay shale or a sandy clay mix.
And that's
And that would
better
all just get
material.
shoved off right
Yeah.
and loaded right into a
We-
truck.
Yeah,
And then,
I know that,
Yeah.
we know
yeah.
that. What,
yeah.
how we fix that's the question. Do we need one of them big sieve, $15,000
No.
boxes?
no, we'll find them.
Can you do a better job of dozing and pushing clay in
That's
one
what we're
pile
doing.
and just do it manually?
That's what we're
Good
doing.
rock and
Yeah.
gravel.
But
we're
just
good.
to test the material itself, because there is a
Well,
a
that's
size
fine.
grade.
Well, you could have one of the little test boxes that way.
It's
When you
it's
say
a handheld
this-
circle pans,
Yeah.
and you shake them around and make sure the material falls where it is. Then you get a
Then you
scale
can-
and you weigh it out
Then
and
get
you
a
make
good-
sure it fits
Okay.
your spec.
Right.
But right now, we have the testing equipment. It's been sold to Purple Wave. I don't know when.
Well-
It's gone.
If you wanted to buy another one, I don't think we'd be against it.
Yeah, you
And I'm gonna see if the state or if someone has a loaner or something that they would donate or
I
that is
think what-
used in less cost.
Alright,
What you're saying is if you test it, then we can identify each pit as to whether it's
Well,
better material for.
what quality you got there?
Yes,
Right.
and then I would know if we need to mix if we need to mix a finer material in
Right.
there.
Well, that's okay, yeah, bring
But I
it,
wanna get more to the question of, let's say we're gonna do 10 miles of digging down to the sub base and relaying this 2.5 inch number 3. Where are we price wise? And even if we do have to stock it somewhere, put it on one of the outlying shops or ask a farmer
Yeah.
to utilize a piece of land temporarily, contract it or something, you know, what are we looking at? Because that's gonna be a project
Yeah.
coming up here that's hitting us hard.
Well, I need the map so I can put accurate
Yeah.
costs.
Yeah, well, Randy, I think, finished his.
Okay.
I got one.
Mine's not.
I was gonna give you that. I did,
Perfect.
that's mostly just my district, that's mostly just my district, and,
Okay.
Yeah,
what I marked a little color coding
Okay.
thing there so you can figure it out. You just take,
Perfect.
yeah, okay.
Now, I got a question on that.
Yes, sir.
The neighboring landowners on these roads that we wanna make minimum maintenance, if they complain, who do they complain to?
us,
Uh,
because
We're the
we
ones-
have a hearing.
We're the ones that told them this, we're gonna do this. So
Well, we'd have a hearing
They
first.
still
on each
complain to us
road.
because we cannot legally close it until we have a
understand.
hearing.
What I'm saying is, we looked at this too far up the road. It should have been looked at by your operators and you, and then you bring that to us for the plan.
Well, they're doing it as well. I met with
He's
Sylvan Lucas already to get their bus
Yeah,
routes.
yeah.
I'm waiting to hear back from here, Lincoln County, or Lincoln Schoolhouse for their bus routes. This is just, I wanna compile all the information together to see where things are overlapping and where they're not overlapping.
Well, I did it, but I was just thinking that we're one level too up.
Well,
But have
before
no
we
place
would,
to adjudicate.
before we declare anything minimum maintenance, it would have to be known by all.
But
the
like for
farmers.
myself, I know where all of my issues are that are even outside of the major and minor collectors, just because of who potentially lives there, what kind of business they're running there, that, you know what I mean? So it was more about him taking
And-
all the input and letting him do the compilation, not
Basi-
us trying to sift through what everyone
Yes.
else has done.
You guys were just supposed to look at what roads were the most important you felt. And that doesn't mean it's the end all be all. You were supposed to look at what
Just a
roads are most
draft,
important,
a draft.
and then my
Well,
employees
some
would look
people-
at where we had it. My employees are looking at where our issues are on road, where we need material at, where the sub base is gone and it needs a new sub base put in, or we can band-aid it, but band-aids only last so long. And it's not like the material's getting any
Yeah, but we
cheaper
can't
to
tear up
fix.
every road in county and
No,
relay them all
no,
either.
oh no. And it's
Right.
gonna take years to
There
fix
has to be a
issues.
systematic approach.
Well, we have to
which has not
prioritize,
been done.
we have to prioritize.
And that's where
what needs to be
you
done
give
first
you
and
give
then
my
go with
you
it.
give me the roads
Yeah.
that are most important. I can compile that with what my employees say where work needs. So you've
Right.
determined it's the most important, or the state's determined it's the most important. It's a bus route. Those are the ones that take priority.
Right,
And then we go off. They have
for the
roads that,
side roads, yeah.
correct.
And less people, less population, you get less work. But when you got, it's common sense, just where all the people are is where you're gonna do the roads for.
Right, but if we keep approaching it every year as, well, whoever complains the loudest, or wherever one particular issue is that keeps being a habitual issue that we Band-Aid over and over. I heard the comment out there on Union where that washout is by Mr. Wacker that we've spent $50,000 right there in that spot
Yeah.
over the last
We
10
spent
years.
more than that.
Well, we've been back and forth.
Yeah, I don't even know,
More than that.
We've
Yeah.
been back and forth there 10 times in the last year, so.
What
So-
are you doing about road design, for example, ditches, where they're farming right up almost to the center line of the road? And we got tons of roads. and-
We have lots of areas like that.
Well, we got Madison and Salt Creek have a lot of roads that are cuts, and so there's no ditches, there's no possible ditches unless you go and rebuild.
Yeah. And there's nothing that really can be done there. You lay material back over the rock steps and
You would have to have a letter to the farmers saying you're encroaching the ditch, please farm less, and then we maybe have to redig ditches.
well,
And say, if they could,
Well, in
let
some
that
cases,
happen.
you don't wanna do it, because if you're down in the flats, it's a flat,
Runs
the
right
ditch
across
isn't
the
gonna
road.
do you good.
Right.
Well, the ditch is just.
Well, like on the bottom road at the river out, on the
That's-
south side of
Well, the
the
commission-
river,
yeah.
that's all flat, and, well, but that, in a way, that's good, water runs right across it when it's.
The
when it
commission's already
floods,
sent
it
letters
floods
out. You guys have already sent letters out
Yeah,
saying not to farm right away.
right,
If we're gonna fix a road, if it's been planted, we'll either wait till after they've harvested it to fix the roadway, or we will have to go through and mow it. We don't have the, I'm not gonna waste the time to just blade it quickly so someone can get through it, and then have to come back later and fix it the right way.
I got 2 bridges out with signs, but they're not listed on the bridge map. Is there any,
They're culverts.
it says bridge out?
Every time it's under 20 feet, it's not going to be listed as an official bridge.
Yes, if it's 20 feet or less, it's not
But
a
they've
bridge.
been out for apparently years.
Then it may have been taken off the registry if it is over the 20 feet.
Well, yes, because eventually I think if we've closed it, it's removed.
Well, the sign that said bridge out, it said road closed. I just wondered about it. I had
But-
2 of them like that. I
But the
understand
commission
that.
may have taken official action to close it. Or I said that wrongly. The commission may not have taken official action to close the road per se, but the highway department closed the bridge, so it's not getting inspected anymore. And if it's not on the inspection list, then
It
it's
won't
not
be
gonna
on our
be,
bridge maps.
yeah.
Okay. One of them was on Salt Creek, which I thought was interesting.
As it might have a lot of traffic, it should be,
No,
oh,
both of them are leading, well, they're on the edges of the county. And one of them goes into Ottawa County. I doubt if anybody ever uses it anyway. And the other one goes north into Mitchell County. There's nobody home that whole.
that's not their.
so are you
plan.
talking about
Bohemian
something we can
Road.
close a section leading to it or something?
I intend to do that.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna make that recommendation. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So I'll go ahead and look at getting the testing equipment so we can test our own
Yeah.
things. Okay.
Yeah, I think you should get a piece of equipment, if
Yeah.
it's 2,000 or less, or something in that ballpark, or if you get one load or free or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be good to, test your rock, then you know the quality of every gravel pit and what we got.
And here's the drawing I got from Kirk and Michael. I spoke with Wally Sheldon. He's gonna come by my office today to make sure he's all right with the new roadway. That we still would have to send this off to Southern Star to get their approval of the drawing. If they're all right with it, then we can
Shake
start
this
off.
to him.
He's coming by the office to look at it today. I spoke to him. I received it yesterday afternoon, so I called him today to come look at it. Because we had originally spoken with him, he just wanted the road to shift right along the ditch line and not come out into the field like this. But with the way the utilities have been run in the area, this is what they're recommending, short of doing a full relocation of the.
So what is our total, what is this area then? It's still a 1
They-
acre?
No, it would be more than an acre.
Oh,
So
it is.
that's closer to what Kirk and Michael had actually already surveyed. So they have the survey points, they can show the actual acreage and everything.
So we're going on that pipeline twice, huh?
Well, they have a rectifier line that runs south that we would be crossing over once, and then we would be going over the actual gas line itself along the north side.
Why do they have it in that odd shape where that tree opening is?
Old pipe and new pipe.
They bypass their own pipe with something
They
new.
reconnected to something different, yeah.
Mhm.
Because you can actually see the old pipe sticking up out of the creek bed right now.
So what's the acreage? More like 2 acres or 1.5?
2 acres or less.
2 acres.
Are we gonna have to purchase that land?
Yes.
from
We would, yes.
Wally?
Yes.
But he's gonna come by and make sure he's agreeable to this road being moved to this location.
Those guys still think that bridge isn't that bad, or you will be 100%, that bridge is that bad there, that little bridge?
The wing wall's falling out.
Huh?
The wing wall's falling out of it.
If he approves this, how long will it take before it's turnkey?
He approves it, we would send this off to Southern Star for their engineers to look at it. Their lawyers would come up with an encroachment agreement for us going over the line, the rectifier line, so that they would still have access to it, and then we could start on it.
That's all been preliminarily agreed to, has it not?
They've discussed
Yes.
it.
What,
They need a map like this so they can have their lawyers look at it and their engineers look at it to give a final approval for it. And they said potentially having an encroachment agreement sent to us, commission to sign. And after that was signed, we could start on this.
So what,
Depends on how fast they get through it.
So what special,
I mean, once they agree, how long will it take you to build it?
With material, a month.
what special, things do we have to do now to go over that pipeline?
Stay 4 feet away from it.
But you're going over top of it twice there.
We're going over an electrical line and then we're going over a gas line. Stay 4 feet away from it. Just like that line that runs through Colt, that's 16 inches deep. Here, this is a much smaller pipeline. They want 4 feet above it, which is why I've been talking with Kinder Morgan on that pipeline.
So we're gonna be 4 foot above this when you do
Yes.
this road? And that's, we don't have to do any special, you gotta put concrete over it or something?
No, I would
Where are you
recommend
getting the
taking,
material?
that would be from our own local kids.
So we
And
would,
then-
Even the
resurface.
base
So we would
material?
just-
I would like to reclaim this base from the road that we'd be taking out.
sure.
Local landowners
Okay,
Sure,
have
you
voiced
might
their
as well do that,
concerns
yeah.
about taking that out.
why? Because
They
it
feel if
serves
the
as a
creek runs,
deterrent to
well,
the-
if the creek
yeah.
comes up, they feel it would erode into their field more.
But it's only this, I mean, if the creek bed is already below the road base,
Just for flooding concerns, is their worry. That was the dirt that Mr. Walker was talking about. We had taken a bite of dirt alongside of our ditch here in our right of way to put that pipe across for Mr. Sheldon. And he was upset that we had took that because the creek came up, he felt it would come into his field and flood his field. So we brought dirt from our own stockpiles and replaced it there.
but I thought, okay, so aren't we making a new ditch then? So then we can actually maybe transfer that dirt over to the other side?
Correct.
Whatever you remove from there, okay. I mean, at some point, they're just gonna,
Yeah.
if this is going to be a more permanent fix long-term, they're gonna have to agree to that. There's nothing else we can do besides close the road.
Correct.
Whose district is this?
Yours, is it? Ain't mine.
Is it mine?
Yeah,
About 100 feet,
Okay.
I didn't want anything to do with it.
sure. It ain't mine. I'm everything, I'm east of 14. I'm safe and all this.
District 3 is nothing but trouble.
Yeah.
Thank you, I'll take that as a compliment.
You need
Every
to
time they
get-
come around, there's a
get
bad
that
bridge
fixed,
in that
will you?
district.
So Brendan, then if we don't have to make any special accommodations, go over this pipeline, really? I thought before it was gonna be a big deal to go over this pipeline with them.
Well, it is. They need this drawing.
They
And
gotta
they
get,
have to have
they gotta get
minimum depth.
approval, they gotta make some special, we gotta
They need
sign.
more stuff on their end.
And also, we probably gotta sign a liability thing. If it
That's what
leaks-
that's
If
what
it
they-
leaks there, that, we gotta fix it and all that.
No, the encroachment agreement is just that they'll have access to their utilities, their facilities underground so that they can maintain them. Just like any other utility that's buried in our right of way, they can come in and repair theirs.
And we're purchasing the land, so we are now
Correct.
going to own the property. So if they want,
Correct.
they'll have to have if they wanna do work there,
That's what the
they'll,
encroachment agreement basically
But we're
is.
driving over the pipeline twice now.
We're driving over it
Once.
once.
which would be.
And we already drive over it where that bridge is falling out at, where
Yeah.
there was two gas warning
Oh,
signs,
okay.
one's in the creek. We're driving over the road there.
We're already doing it anyway.
Correct.
Okay. Well, good, I think that's, any guess on total price, what this whole thing's gonna cost?
I haven't put it together because I just got the drawing yesterday, and I need to get, if Mr. Sheldon's agreeable to this,
Yeah,
then I can
I
put
know.
numbers.
You're
on the table.
preliminary, yeah, that's fine, okay.
Okay, in the interest of time, 'cause Leann's coming back.
Yeah.
You wanna just approval of the new, you change these agreements?
Yep, to
That's-
how everyone has said, if that's all right, and I will bring copies
Yeah,
to be signed to be sent out next week.
yeah, I think sounds good. Does it to you, Jim?
Well,
Gravel
I
agreement?
wanna read it, yeah. Jennifer
Well,
looked
let's
at
just
it.
highlight the changes. Basically, we're guaranteeing to remove,
150 yards, they're getting $300. They're getting $300 up front as
Yeah.
advance rate. So whether we take material out or not, they're covered for taxes. But since I'm paying for 150 yards, it's on me to be in there to get it out. So if I'm going to get my 150 yards, I'll be more apt to using more than that.
Alright,
this says the revision date is 11/25/19, so this is what we've talked about before, correct?
Correct.
You just needed us to officially accept this? I'm gonna do that because we've talked about it several times, unless you have an opposition.
And I spoke with Jennifer today.
what's this for,
She's already-
now? I'm sorry.
We changed the gravel agreement because some landowners were not getting their increased taxes covered.
Okay.
Because if we open a pit on your land and we don't remove anything that year, let's say we open it in July.
I
we
don't get
even-
any income, but I pay
But
high
you're paying
taxes.
higher
That's
taxes
why
on
you
it,
pay
so
the $300.
we're now advancing a royalty where we're gonna pay that way they're never gonna pay more in taxes than
Okay.
what we're guaranteed
we're
to
guaranteed to
remove.
pay them.
Right,
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
which then the onus is on your department to make sure that
We're
we're
in there.
keeping up with that.
Yes.
So
Okay.
you don't, yeah,
So the main thing, or quick thing since we're.
Go
bringing
ahead
up,
if you wanna make a
The
motion.
inventory sheet,
What's this?
this is all of our equipment, everything. I mean, down to the calculator. I didn't know if we want to update that, so if there's a number, price number in mind, anything less than that, we don't put on there.
Okay.
I don't know, cause there's
Okay.
565 items.
I move to approve the gravel removal and purchase agreement for the highway department. Revised 11/25/19.
A second. We have a motion and a second to approve the gravel, the Lincoln County Kansas gravel removal purchase agreement. Any more discussion?
And Jennifer has reviewed this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Talked with her today, she's alright with the changes.
Motion been made and seconded. All approve? Motion carried.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carried
Randy,
now.
you did second that, right?
Yeah, I second it. You need me to sign this?
Well, that's just a draft right now.
No, that's just the draft for you guys
Okay.
to look at to make sure that everything is still.
Sounds good.
Then,
Okay.
last few things, Sylvan asked if we would sell them a 18-inch by 24-foot corrugated metal pipe to them. I didn't know what your wishes were on that.
What do we have in
Do we-
stock?
Do we need them ourselves or?
Well, we would use them ourselves, but we have
Yeah.
some up. in our
It's
local
not gonna hurt your operation to sell it to them?
We can always buy another one.
What's something like that cost?
I couldn't tell you the number offhand. A few hundred,
How long is it?
24 feet.
I don't care.
I don't see a reason.
Okay.
Just go ahead.
And then our printer is on its last legs. We have to unplug it every time we leave the office because it smells like burning electrical. They talked with ImageQuest, who is current provider for us. Because it is an older system, it's on the legacy. It is $92 a month. A new printer, smaller, but with the same things, would be $63.43 a month. So
Why don't you just buy one outright?
Cause then you don't have the maintenance agreement.
Alright.
so it is $20 or almost $30
Cheaper.
less a month. Is it all right if we go ahead with that?
Yeah.
And then I spoke with Katie again, Beverly. They're wanting us to cut dishes, crown the road, and spread materials. So I'm putting a cost estimate together for them about all of that.
That Beverly project.
Just those side and graded roads around town, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I drove over there too the other day on Main Street, and I know we talked about redoing all that someday. That's really not that bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't think it is. Right from Main
It's
Street
blacktop.
down to Street to Crop Service?
That blacktop?
Yeah, it ain't that bad.
Dog, I was there yesterday.
I'll tell you, it's Lincoln, it's worse here from Lincoln, this courthouse out to our swimming pool.
Well,
right
I'm right
out.
with that.
When your roadway looks like a 1,000-piece puzzle set,
Yeah.
that means the base is gone.
Yeah, but it's.
You have to
runs
tear it
fine.
off. You have to put the base back in.
It
and then
runs
you-
fine. What do you-
Randy,
Okay.
when you do that for the next 25 years, that's how you end up in this position.
And
Yeah,
then
but we don't only have so much money to.
the other thing, Enel had sent the right-of-way
That's on
permit
them.
for
No, it isn't.
their
They
projects.
don't have to
The
pay.
commission had said that they didn't need one before, so
Yeah,
I
they
didn't know
won't
how
do it.
your
Go ahead.
feelings on that.
Not Lincoln County, I think they ever want us to pay for it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
The Enel right-of-way permit. The last time 2 weeks back, I had asked about that, and you had said that it was included in the RMA, that they didn't need to fill one out. When they did the last project, they had to fill one out.
We've got your draft RMA here on this table somewhere.
So that's the RMA, this is the right-of-way permit that they fill
Oh,
out.
this-
In addition, but the commission had stated 2 weeks ago that they were not required to do that.
You know what-
You mean they didn't have to do it with the last agreement?
No, they had to do it with the last agreement. The commission said 2 weeks ago that they did not have to do it for this agreement, that they felt it was covered in the RMA.
I don't remember that conversation, but I
I
could
think
be.
what it was Mortensen submitted the
Yeah.
road right away, and you were asking about the bond, and they thought the bond was covered under the,
Yeah, the bond, not the right-of-way agreement. So let's
Okay.
go ahead with that.
and so I think he's asking
You get this
that
approved.
Jeremy's gonna ask, or according to the email that I got,
They
to
did
have the bond
They need this.
be part of the letter of credit that they're giving us for the
For the-
RMA.
Okay.
And if not, to
I don't see a
tighten it by
problem with
$1.
that, do you?
No,
I think that's fine, but we need this in addition because this is just
The actual, yes.
the right of way agreement that we would have with the highway department, no matter who was, no matter who it was.
Utility permit agreement.
Yeah.
So we need to make a motion to
Yes.
approve it?
Yes.
I'll
And that
make-
one's with Enel.
Is this official now, ready to go?
I just printed off from their
Here's the
document.
company.
And now,
And
they're coming today at
He'll
3
be here
o'clock.
at 3.
Do you want me to be back for that one at 3 o'clock?
There's his letter
Yes.
of credit if you don't have a copy of that.
I don't have one.
Was that in the email?
I've got a whole package of stuff from him, but included in his irrevocable standby letter of credit number 46, 43, 47.
Does that mention the bond?
Why don't you keep that for now?
Okay, you want me to come back at 3 o'clock when they're here?
Yeah, why don't you?
This
Because
was-
you're part of the
You
process.
have this somewhere, cause this is all part of a
Yeah,
letter to you.
I've seen
Alexis.
this before. Yeah, Alexis, you had that.
It's all part of that, you got that somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then since getting around low on time, the Road Scholar program, I know Jim's attending a few of their courses. It's alright if myself or some of my employees attend some of the courses.
Where is
Is
it?
that through KU?
It's through KU, they've got courses throughout the year. They've got level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 is basic operations, level 2 is supervision, level 3 is higher level management. I listening to one of the meetings, Jim is going to the level 3 course on the finance and budgeting. I wanted to confirm, check and see if that was alright if myself or some of my employees went and attended a few of these courses throughout the year.
Yeah, well, how many people? Do you have any idea?
Just members of the management team basically is what
Who's
you're feeling.
you consider now Caleb management?
Caleb and
He's really not management, you know?
he is a member of management.
No, he's not. He's a road maintenance, or, I mean, a office manager,
Okay,
not really management. I mean,
that's what we
Well, it's in
hired
his
him,
title.
that he was manager.
he's office manager, but I guess that is, I guess. But he doesn't have authority, I don't think, like you do. That's what we mean by
No.
management. You can sign paychecks and stuff, or you sign off time cards. He doesn't have that capability. That's what I mean by that. In the same way, your highway crew guy too, or your bridge crew guy. Okay?
Okay.
But
So,
I think
go
they
then?
should, I think you should be able to go.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
yes,
So you
I
need to
want
see
to
that RMA.
encourage educational training on all levels.
If it isn't too
You
much.
mean him?
No,
Randy?
didn't we get an RMA
We
had
had
one
one
here.
here.
that was addressed to the highway department,
Yeah,
and we short-circuited and read it?
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I guess I'll read through this before, is this from county attorney or?
Yes.
Yeah.
that's from
Okay.
Jennifer.
I'll read through it here on my break while we go.
Yeah, bring it back here, bud.
Okay, and the last things were oil quotes. So far, only missing one outstanding still, but so far Allied's still the most cost effective. Home Oil's not gonna quote because they get theirs from Hample. Hample already quoted us. He said he would just be higher than Hample because he would have to get something out of it too. So he didn't want to quote. And I think that was it. Randy, sometime this week I'd like you to take a drive with me to take a look at something.
Okay.
Roadway, just whenever you have time, get in touch with me and we can find
Okay.
it out. And that would be it then. And
Okay.
What do these, I'm looking at this inventory list, when it says department ID, what does that mean?
so if we
Where
have
it's
a
supposed to
equipment
be
piece of number,
located?
well, the ID part would be like if it has a number like a haul truck or one of our dump trucks,
This
or
one says Michael on a still chainsaw, do you know what that
it was
is?
supposed to be in that truck that I drive when
Oh.
I'm at work. It's not in there,
It's missing?
potentially. There's a lot of things on there that,
You don't know where they are? I just thought it was
No.
interesting that it says department ID in all these different locations, like Vesper, shop, whatever, and then one had a name on it, which, okay, so you're saying that's because it was in the truck.
it was supposed to be in the truck.
So this is from records, not from an inventory.
Well, it's not current inventory, it's
No.
it's the inventory list that you inherited.
Yes.
A record, not a, go look at it. Right,
It's supposed to be
It's
the
supposed to
current
be.
inventory.
But there's a lot of things on there that weren't marked off as gone, like graders and things like that.
So you just want to upgrade it? It's like one of the-
Well, no, it was,
I
there's
don't
almost
see
600
it.
items on there.
upgrade it.
Yeah.
I didn't know how, I mean, there's calculators written down, shovel, the
What
hand shovel was in
What do
there
you
as
want to do
inventory.
about it? You want to rub just up?
Make sure, do you want us to continue to keep, if we buy a $20 shovel, to keep it in that
Oh.
inventory list? If there's a price point?
We probably should, that way we know what you all have there. I know it may be a hassle because you got a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah.
And what do you want me to do with items that aren't listed on this that we
If they're
can't
not there
find.
anymore, I would delete them and just say you can't find them no more, or they're gone. As a, not, you're, not
Just
say,
have him export everything you can't find into a different spreadsheet and make the list of unretrievables so
Right.
they can at least write it off.
something
I mean,
isn't there anymore, it's gone.
Kinda like to know what happened to it. If you're missing a grader, we probably ought to know
Well,
where the
it's
grader
probably
went.
sold at some point.
Well, but that probably doesn't do it. We need to have a
but
bill of
that's
sale.
not
I know.
his fault because
I know,
he inherited this list.
I understand that, but we need to have an accurate
You may
inventory
know where
now.
some of these things are, or you may ask your guys, hey, is
Yeah.
this in the
And if you're
Westfarm
missing,
shop?
if you're missing a shovel, you don't know what happened to it, somebody might have walked off.
Well, there's like a cement mixer. No one knows what happened to it. It's on my list.
Like a portable one?
Yes. There's 4 graders, 1990s
Well,
cat
the
graders
problem
that
with
are
this
not
list is
there.
it doesn't have a date on it. That's,
I
you know,
know, it's,
I'm saying like if you would date things, then you'd know, you, going into the future, would know the last time you had.
correct.
Yeah,
hands
try
on
to
it.
update it and delete, make a new one with all the stuff that's gone, just say it's gone. for
I'd like a
whatever.
Stihl chainsaw.
I'd like to know what's gone and where it went.
Me too.
Okay.
I've got 600 items here that I don't know where all of them are.
All
at.
right,
Well, when you put that together, I'd like to see a list of what's missing. Let's try to figure out where it went.
I'm gonna take a 5-minute recess too, are you done with
Okay.
running?
Yeah.
Okay, so, before you go, 500 miles, and this, I know this is just totally rough estimate, but you're
Yeah.
saying, like, from APAC, a 1-inch road rock for an inch thick per mile is about $2,000 per mile. Is that my math on a million?
Yeah, thereabouts, yeah, for tonnage wise. I mean, it
I mean,
depends
that's
based
not
on road
hauling,
width, yeah.
that's not our manpower, that, I'm
No,
just talking
That's just
strictly
material purchase
materials
price.
purchase.
But with testing our own pits, we may find blends between our pits that would meet the specifications.
Well,
we need
yeah,
on
I'm
our
not
material.
talking doing 500 miles worth, just
No.
saying, if you're gonna calculate a roundabout, you can say $2,000 per mile, but that's only an inch thick. So really, if you were doing 3 inches thick, you'd have $6,000 per mile in top coat material.
But not all of the roads need that full cover. That was,
Right,
if you want to Band-Aid every mile of gravel.
right, gotcha, okay, thank you. Brendan,
Just that.
we have, what was I looking at? When they come at 3 o'clock, would you come
Back, yeah, right.
slightly before that, because we have your evaluation to do, just your,
Okay.
we already did your department, so we just, okay,
Okay,
like 15 minutes before maybe?
yep, I can
Thank
do that.
you.
And Todd Ellison, so that pit's the old Loman pit that the state had declared reclamated a few years back. The one on 210,
So they did do a state reclamation.
state, I didn't know if you still want me to contact him or not.
I'll message them, and then I'll let you know if you need to follow up, but basically you're saying, we have
No, you're
paperwork
okay.
that says
Your
the
hip's
state
okay.
did.
State,
Hope they didn't knock you.
Okay.
said
I
it,
will-
it was to their, what they required.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, thanks, Brendan.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Leann, for coming back and being
No
late a
problem.
little.
I have to be out of here by 10 after to take a kid to
Oh,
preschool.
that's plenty of time.
Okay.
Do you have your evaluations? I don't have them.
Okay, I move to recess into executive session for, let's just say, I'm gonna do it this way, I move to recess into executive session until 5 after 12, to reconvene in the commission room with the, for the purpose of performing the treasurer's department evaluations, reviewing the treasurer's department evaluations pursuant to KSA 75-43-19-2B, to reconvene at 5 after 12 in the commission room with the treasurer and the commission.
Second that.
For 25 minutes.
Motion's been made and seconded to move into executive session for how long?
It's 25 minutes, but I don't know if that clock's accurate.
25 minutes
41.
for purpose of discussing evaluations, right, with the county treasurer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Somewhere, so.
Only correspondence extra I got is from the
Okay, but I think we had some emails.
We doing?
Let's-
Oh, you go ahead and read them.
Let's
We're
just
gonna
do this
take lunch here,
quickly.
Don, if you wanna go to lunch, we're just gonna read a little more correspondence and then have lunch till 1,
Yes.
okay? So if you want to,
And I, yeah, and
What
I
do you-
told Brendan, you guys left the room, but I told Brendan to come back 15 minutes before Enel, so that we can go over his personal evaluation that we already did. Does that make sense?
Those two bridges that are closed are numbered, 173 and 44, and they are on the number.
Okay,
This map,
okay.
is overprinted incorrectly. For example,
hasn't been updated from
No.
what you're saying.
44 is shown here and it's actually down there.
It's not
The
accurate.
overlay is off.
Okay.
Okay, so, Russell County Emergency Manager messaged LaDonna today and said that the thing in Russell for tomorrow is canceled, or
Okay,
postponed. Weren't you gonna go to that?
yeah,
So it's postponed until March 3rd. Do you wanna write that down?
yeah. 3rd of March.
Oh, the floodplain thing.
Well, it was the,
That's a Tuesday, right? What time?
3rd, it does not say a time. And then she wants to know if he can come on Thursday, do you wanna see him, or do you want to go to the next week?
Well, this Thursday, we
So
got a
Thursday, this
meeting.
is our agenda for Thursday,
We got an agenda
okay?
Thursday.
This is our agenda for Thursday.
Right, we're booked.
So let's say, please have him scheduled for the next meeting. This is for him to come and speak to us about his role as emergency manager, and he's the administrator for both
You got-
counties. I don't know how many employees or part-time help he has, but that's what he does for both counties, so, please have him. Dawn, do we have a lot on our schedule for the 24th?
That's the meeting that Randy's gonna be gone.
I'm gonna be gone, but you guys can,
You can watch the video, right?
I've got a senior center note on that.
We
Is
do
it-
have, we have a slot,
You
time
guys
slot for
moved-
them.
No, you moved that to the 1st of
Oh,
March.
Which-
because he wasn't gonna
Okay,
be
now
here.
speaking of the 1st
So
of
would
March,
it
are
be
we
okay
gonna
if
have
he
a
still
meeting on
comes
the
and
2nd
you can
of
watch the
March?
video?
yeah,
Or are we
Yeah,
yeah,
gonna
you don't have
close
to,
it
you
out?
guys can handle it.
Whatever
Not
that
me here.
Monday is when the meeting
Well,
is.
Friday, we're gonna have end of the year.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, all right, just checking. Hate to get criticized here.
Okay, Mr. Don Simmons says, what is the contact information, what is the contact information for the highway department?
Is he that guy that emergency manager?
Let me-
Ellsworth or
No,
Russell?
he's not,
Who's
he must live at Wilson Lake Estates, and he got our commission.
What's he want?
Can you give me the highway department phone number, please?
4656.
Wait, 785-524-4656.
Compare that with the clerk's number.
4757, isn't it? Okay. I have not memorized it. Cell phones ruined me to memorize numbers.
Oh, you go GoDaddy, webmail?
This is our commission email, remember?
I didn't know it was GoDaddy.
Well, that's who services they don't address it to that, it's to the commission.com,
That's
or
fine.
dot.
That's your
Whatever.
search option.
I don't care.
It's the host. Okay. Emergency management and ambulance hours from the health department she sent us.
LaDonna.
Mm-hmm.
So that Haber isn't coming today then?
No. Where is this opening? I can't find it opening anything.
You gotta click on that bottom, don't you, then?
I clicked this.
And,
Okay, then it says, and then I want to open.
Put a check mark on the box there right there, now click on it. Doesn't matter. Huh,
I don't know where it's opening
download,
to.
click download over here where it says download. Huh.
We'll mess with
There's
that
a
later.
respond.
We have more to read here. Okay. So we. I have to remember not to hit the back button on this thing. Okay, so I read from Dawn, the human resource officer, correct? That email.
Yeah.
And then, okay, Brendan sent us an email on mobile 311.
That doesn't, can't open. probably.
No, see, then it pops up into a different window. That's what I was expecting it to do last time.
Huh, well, something's, format of the other one that sent to you probably screwed up or something different than this.
Oh, we have a username, we have our own commission username and password for Mobile 311. And it's right here.
Okay.
So we need to somehow, I guess maybe there's an online portal. We'll have to ask him. I didn't ask him about that because I didn't need to open his email.
Maybe he can give us one of them 311 laptops and we can just look at it.
Well, I think we should be able to access it right from this computer. Just go to the portal and we have a username under our
Okay.
commission and a password. And then,
Just a database of information, right?
well, it's the 311, it's our Lincoln County
Yeah, but the
portal.
database is all the data coming in.
I
the
suppose.
Files.
Okay.
I would guess, I don't know either, I haven't looked at it.
Okay, would be a good class to attend for commissioners. A reminder that the GO 402 ICS interview or overview for executives and senior local officials is being held in Clay Center on March 12th. Would either of you like to go to that?
What's it
What
about?
is it?
It's one of the ICS classes, or did I say that right? Yeah, ICS for emergency management.
I don't
It's
want to.
March
We really
12th.
need to all take that, honestly. The ICS 100, 200, and 400, I believe, is a requirement for all.
All of us?
Yes, because you're upper level, they teach you what your responsibility is gonna be when.
When is it?
Emergency.
402, it's on March 12th.
What day of the week is that? I got my calendar.
And then,
March 12th is a Thursday. I could probably go to it. Where is it, you said?
Clay Center.
Yeah, I'll go.
Oh.
I gotta go to
You
Slaughter.
need a,
What time is it? If it's afternoon, I can go. If it's in the morning, I can't go. Is it all day?
Let me see.
probably.
Why do they have to attach everything instead of just send it in the email itself? This does
Cause
not-
they write it in a Word file or something.
No prerequisites, registration deadline February 27th. 703 2nd Street in Clay Center,
The 12th.
but it doesn't have a time. It says there's morning and afternoon sessions. It doesn't even have a time. What kind of flyer is
They have
this?
a number, phone number or email? Yeah, they have a phone number there.
They
Rick.
have an email.
www webpage.
train.org/Kansas. There's not even a time.
I'll probably go if I can find out more information
Two
about it.
sessions will be offered in the morning and in the afternoon. You only need to attend one, so if you, would you
I
say?
wanna go in the afternoon.
Okay,
I could go with Jim if we wanna go there, and I'll go to that too.
would you say it is a Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday, that day is,
So it's 3 weeks from this Thursday.
I guess, the 12th of March, you said,
Did you
right?
do that in your head?
I did. Is that impressive or what?
We're making progress here.
March 12th,
Yeah,
Thursday.
Okay.
details to follow, right?
That's what's the name, ISCS something, something?
At 400, ICS 402. Or ICS
It
4.
says we might not be able to take that now. But it said
It says no
prerequisite.
prerequisites.
You might
Did you
go
do all those,
off.
Dawn?
What?
Did you do all those series? And do you have to do any updating?
Don, do you
If we did, nobody told me we did.
Just, yeah, I'm just asking. How are you doing the board appointment?
There's the list.
I don't have an updated, you gave me this,
400 down in here it is.
you used to do these.
Advanced Instant Command Control System.
Yes.
Do you have anything
Okay.
updated with
I'll
this? Or,
No,
I don't have nothing done.
Okay.
we're working.
Yeah, I'll go in
can
the
I, do you want me
afternoon.
to do that?
They will drive
Well,
over
or
together.
you have one in the works?
I have one in the works.
Okay.
I'm just not sure. I know she's got
There's your
fire
address
districts
if
and
you wanna
repeater
follow up on
boards,
that.
and then I just need to go
Okay.
in and
Team
update with the
without org.
ones that you guys did last year,
Okay,
especially if they were new.
so where are we housing all of the applications that we've received so far?
I have them in a folder in my office.
Okay,
You can take one
and
out.
what did you do about the ones that we got by email? Because remember, I had Caitlin Ansel.
I did nothing.
Okay, so, And then this one today, I'll just read you guys this letter. Honorable Commissioner Gableman, Lohman, and Flug, the hospital trustee board and county will benefit from newly appointed trustee members willing and able to read and comprehend financial, regulatory, and legal documents, follow a budget, and operate openly according to Coma and Cora. I believe I can make a positive contribution as a hospital trustee and hope you will consider appointing me to the hospital board. I believe the county and hospital will benefit in the future from having a trustee board that always supports and respects the commission-approved budget and the vision that the elected county commission sets forth for the entire county. I also hope the commission rebuilds a trustee board that is fully open with the commission and public when it comes to hospital financial records and trustees' business conduct and plans. The trustees' recent decision to hire a new interim CEO was an outstanding one, and it is my hope that you publicly thank any trustees, with expiring terms for their excellent decision and past public service when you replace them with the new individuals willing to serve. I graduated from Tufts University with a BA in 1989. My chief occupation is running a technology company, WireReady, which I founded nearly 30 years ago. WireReady develops software and provides support for information collection and dissemination systems used by both large and small broadcast media entities who depend on WireReady systems on a 24/7, 365 mission-critical basis throughout the United States and Canada. My wife Mona and I plan to spend our remaining lives in this county and care deeply about the county's long-term viability and services offered to its senior community as its primary demographic ages, including ourselves. Your county commission has demonstrated a willingness and ability to expect more and do more with our precious tax dollars while implementing strategic plans for long-term future. I believe you deserve a trustee board that shares the same vision and commitment. I currently serve as an active volunteer with the Vesper Community Center, Lincoln County Historical Society, Post-Rock Open Meetings, and I'm beginning my second year on the governing boards of the VCC and PROM. Since I'm committed to attending hospital meetings either way as a citizen attendee or appointed trustee, the additional time required to make contributions during trustee board meetings or participating on trustee committees would be incremental and within my abilities. I understand the importance of balancing the public's right to know, something I care strongly about, while maintaining a positive public image for the hospital, which is absolutely necessary. One way to ensure a positive public image and maintain the public's right to know is to operate the hospital successfully. There is no unfortunate news to report that will tarnish that public image. I am hopeful that there will be positive news to report in the near future, especially as it pertains to financial matters. I admire the new interim CEO's qualifications, experience, and her recent publicly reported management decisions. I will work constructively as a board member to support her efforts and impose much overdue fiscal controls and restraints that are now being implemented. I will also support and encourage her efforts and the trustees' efforts to rebuild the clinic practice and work constructively with other county-funded healthcare departments, as well as our local and surrounding healthcare institutions, to provide the best integrated approach to healthcare this county can afford and sustain into the future for its citizens. David Gersman, and then he has his contact information.
Okay,
Okay, so.
when do we take a lunch? We
Yes.
gotta be back here at 1.
I just wanna make sure we're tracking these, so we
Well, I
have.
thought I had one from Cody Flynn.
Yeah, you told us that.
Well,
you
but I
did.
know, I'm looking on my email, my text.
How do you spell the F-L?
Cody Flynn or Cody Wolting? Because I think you said Cody Wolting.
Well, I think it was Cody Flynn, too.
Was it an email you got, or was it just a personal?
Well, I tell you, it's an email I got, and
Do
I
you
can't,
wanna
but I
check
can't
that?
find it, I'm looking for it here. I could,
Is it Flynn? Is that?
yeah,
Yeah, but I bet you it's Walting.
Wolting.
well, I don't know if it would be Walden, maybe.
I think
Do
that's
you
what
have
you said,
any
but I
requests?
don't remember what board.
Did you have any board
Well,
requests?
no, not personally, but I know Bob Bertelson.
Bob
made a
Bertelson,
handwritten
well, Bob
request.
Bertelson gave us a request
As
She
far
here,
as I
has
know,
that, though.
Yeah,
yeah.
so far as I know, you got,
And you got Richard Ansel,
well, his daughter, or.
no, him,
Did he?
Richard
get-
Ansel sent one there.
Did he send one too, so we got
Yeah.
both of them?
I read them here the other
Okay,
day.
two
I'm
answers.
confused about that one too, because on this board appointment book, it says that Mr. Ansel was appointed to the hospital board in 2002. So then it goes 2002, 2005, 2000, and then it says expires 2008, expires 2011, expires 2014, 17, and 20.
He might have filled an unexpired term.
Yeah, that might have been.
when he
But I'm
first-
saying, has he been on this whole time, is what I'm wondering.
Pretty
Yes.
much. He's been treasurer of the board for years.
Well, Digger was last year, but then Ansel just went on last
I
year.
didn't think he'd been on since,
Digger was treasurer, I'm saying, when I came on a year ago.
I didn't think he'd been on since 2002. Maybe it's a typo and it should be 2012.
Well, no, it has 2000, since 2002, and then it has every term after that. From
Okay. So, that was done in access. So don't take that with credence.
Okay.
Because what I would do was delete people's names, put the new people name in, and I may have got his prior person,
Okay.
whoever he
And
replaced.
just put his name in there
And
and
then
whoever,
wipe
okay.
out that.
That makes sense, because someone was
'Cause I
telling
don't
me, I
think
don't
he's
think he was
been
on
on
the
that
board last, or not this last term, obviously, but maybe the term prior or whatever, so.
Okay.
Okay,
I think he's
I just wanna make sure we're
finished.
No.
tracking this,
No, that's
because
good,
right
Alexis.
now we have 1, 2, 3,
We have a lot
4,
of
5,
people, I
so we
know.
have at least 6.
Well, Broberg, but I guess Broberg dropped
How
out.
many
of it.
positions we got?
Well, we have a temporary, Jim Weber is, on the board, but he's ill, but so I don't know if he can go to the board part of the time or half the time. I still
It
think,
says in their bylaws, unexcused absences will lead to your termination, so I think if he had already informed them, they can just excuse,
but
you know, and he stays
I
on the
think he'll
board.
be able to come once in a while, but based on his treatment, so I think he's still on the board.
Bob Krangle resigned.
Well, Krangle went off, and then also now Broberg's up, and so is,
Ansel.
Richard Ansel's up.
So we have,
And Lorelei.
Who?
Lorelei. Hers-
Yeah, hers
her-
expires.
her
But we
term expires.
reappointed
But
her.
just for
well,
the
we,
unexpired term.
yeah, we reappointed their decision to,
Yeah.
so
He
her,
should return.
okay, so there are actually 4 positions.
Yes.
Krangle,
So Lorelei's
Ansel,
up too
Dole,
now,
and
then?
Broberg.
Yeah.
Well,
Lorelei's
there's
officially up
positions
too.
that they didn't have filled. How many can be on the board?
Well, it has,
What do their bylaws have?
I don't know what their bylaws say, but this would be, I think this would be the appropriate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that's right, 7.
Okay, so we got 4 available slots.
Well, the only,
And
So-
one's an unexpired term though, so it's only a portion of somebody's term.
Which one is that?
Bob
Bob
Krangle.
Krangle's.
Oh,
how
okay.
Krangle left her,
How
we just,
long does that go though? That's another year.
we
or so.
reappointed Krangle.
I don't know, the expiration date should be correct on those, it's just.
Well, it depends on
maybe
who
not-
Mr. Krangle,
We put, we
Jack
appointed him
Crispin,
last
right?
year. We appointed
Yes.
Krangle last year.
So he was up, so he's been in 1 year, so the
Yeah, 2
unexpired
years.
appointment will be 2 years, and the rest of them will be 3 years. So the remaining members are Mr. Houston,
Yep.
Mr. Serene,
Yeah.
and Mr. Krang, well,
Bob Krangle resigned, but
but who replaced him?
nobody. We left that open right now.
So then how do we have 4 openings with 7 positions and only 2 on here? Mr. Houston is not up,
There's 2 pages.
Mr. Serene is not up.
And Houston,
It's 3, 3, and 2, and every 3 years. So there should be 3 positions.
well, I'm just
Oh,
trying to say,
who's in Mr. Liggett's position?
we appointed,
However,
Weber, that's the other one that's
Weber.
on there, okay,
Weber,
so,
Jim Weber.
So,
But he's the one who,
he's not up though, is what I'm
Weber-
no,
saying.
we just appointed him
Serene.
last.
He's
last
not
year.
up, Mr. Houston's not up, and Mr. Serene, so the
Yeah.
first 3 positions listed
Okay.
here are not up,
Yep,
then the last 4 are,
yeah,
which is Dole, Krangle, Ansel, and Broberg.
yep.
okay, and I had Richard Ansel being appointed in 2018, or 2017, sorry, and it's still searching. So 2017,
So 18, 19, 20.
plus there's another year, but that could be a repeater, I'm looking. I know he hasn't been on since 2002, I was trying to think who the Sylvan,
Oh,
person
so
was-
you just, yeah, you're saying that could just be his name into that position,
I
and it was
just-
showing the rotation of that
Don't we
position.
have
So
a
we
lad
have-
too?
Ladd? No, oh, yes, Mr. Jerry Ladd, right? He requested.
So we have Bertelson, 2 Ansels, Gerstmann, and Ladd.
And Flynn or Wolting.
Well, I don't know, yeah, I told them to,
So we got 6 applications for 4 positions
And
right
one
now.
of them will be just 2 years.
Yeah.
And the other 3 will be for 3 years.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that because we need to make these appointments fairly soon.
well, yeah, they run out at the end of the month.
2/28, I think.
Yeah.
So really, we need to do that at our special meeting on Thursday or Monday.
Yeah, I won't be here Monday.
Oh yeah, well, so we need you here. So
Let's do
or you
Thursday.
can do it on Friday.
Yeah,
Friday.
Friday we got payroll.
oh, okay.
The Friday, the 28th. we
Okay.
can do it.
So I believe I read all of my correspondence, and we got a request. Remember, we had asked the landfill for some of their data.
Yeah.
So I actually stopped in there this morning and talked to him about it. So he just sent an email saying, did we want averaged out information? And I said yes. Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't
We're
necessarily.
going by ton, not by loads, right?
Well, we want both because we want to know on average, and he already told me verbally, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are his busiest.
Yeah.
And I said, instead of taking someone from the highway department, we wanna know what their capability is, and he said maybe even because they have a part-time person, that person could come and drive or fill in.
I talked to
during
him
that
about
drive.
it too, I was out there,
Okay,
to Kerry,
okay. I just think that instead of us having to hire into the highway department because they're saying they're giving one of their employees away, even if they're billing for it, that employee is supposed to be working for the highway department, so if we're short-staffed,
right.
they need to fill that
Well, I
position.
told Kerry that, he has a CDL, he told me, and he's worried that if he would haul down there, then we'd be at the landfill. I said, but you have Dan there unless he's mowing, and now we have James almost there most of the time too. So they could, when they haul, they can always make sure somebody's there.
I think there's this pressure to think that nobody can wait, you know, as someone rolls in, they want someone to be, and I don't know what their pushing schedule is.
Well,
If
there's
they
always
just do it
seems
all
to-
day, or if they do it once in the morning and once in the afternoon, or what, but,
There's
But
plenty
James-
of time to push between loads, they're not that busy out there.
well, that's kinda why we wanted to see
Yeah.
what the numbers say.
Yeah, and if he's got a CDL and he could drive it twice a week and then make sure Dan or James is there to cover when he's, and it only takes,
Especially
it only
if
takes you to Slina, what's that take, a couple hours, go there and back?
the highway
right?
department said they're billing 4 to 5 hours for it.
They leave
Twice
at
a
10
week.
and they're back.
So it's like 4 hours, it's like
It's a
two,
half a day,
yeah, well,
So
so
if
they
you're
go to
gone to
Slina and
lunch or
back,
whatever,
so,
right.
so you're gone half a day, twice
or
a week.
lunch to the end of the
So,
day.
I mean, it's not that much time there. And like you said, then we don't have to always have a highway department person be dedicated to doing that, and then we got them doing our job over here at the highway department.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why we can't
Then are we
do that.
gonna put that new tractor back on the refuse and have the refuse pay the highway department for their half of it, so that they have a good tractor to haul trash to Salina
I
with?
think that's important.
That, you mean the trailer, or
Semi?
the
New
truck
tractor.
itself?
The new one ought to be on the road rather than the old one, and it's theirs anyway.
Well, they split the
Yeah, I
cost,
know
so
it is.
technically the landfill should pay the highway department
Or
to
the
just
other way
buy it
around.
outright.
Or the other, yeah, one way or the other.
Or, yeah, whichever way that needs to
Yeah.
happen, but I think she's suggesting, since they need to make sure they get there twice a week, have the new one just become the ownership, the landfill becomes the
Yeah.
owner of it. Yes, and that cost should be depreciated now, it's not like they have to buy out the original purchase price, in my opinion.
I'm surprised the landfill didn't have their own truck.
Well, this is what they.
Because, well, they've shared with
This is what
highway
they wanted to
department.
do, yeah,
Whenever
because
one-
in that way, they were taking advantage of using that good truck.
Yeah.
Well, it was all one department, it's a little easier to.
Well, that's why,
But
that's
it's
why.
also misleading though, because we've always talked about how the landfill's making money because they have a reimbursable line item for fees, but we're not necessarily calculating the total expense.
Yep.
So, okay,
Now let's
we'll
recess
do
to
lunch
lunch.
at 12
Come
o'clock.
back at noon.
Okay.
Guess I'll run downtown.
It's 12:30 right now.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, 1, sorry.
What'd I
We
say?
said.
Come back at noon.
At noon? I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying today, do I? I'm half here for some
Okay,
reason.
1 o'clock.
Getting over a little sinusy cold still. Yeah, 1, please. Recess till then.
Yeah.
Call the meeting back to
Yeah.
order.
Yeah, he was here last week, I think.
Did he fill out one of the satisfaction surveys?
We'll call the meeting back to order and, we'll talk to, Mr. Kerry Jackson, landfill operator. And I guess you're giving us the evaluation for James Miller, is that correct?
Not open meeting though.
Well, let's look at the open meeting material first.
Yeah, what do we have for open meeting here?
The tonnage report.
Oh, the tonnage
you asked
stuff.
for.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay, what does that
I
mean?
didn't know if you wanted that today or not. It's the last sheet.
what's
I
that
know, but
MS,
what, you have to explain it, I don't
what's
understand.
MSW mean and CD and,
Miscellaneous solid waste.
okay,
It's trash like Randan.
regular,
It comes in the transfer station
Okay.
on the floor.
and C and D is.
For the year there, that's tons. It's averaged out.
Okay,
And then I averaged out a week from that and then days from that, so.
Okay, so maybe I didn't explain then when I stopped by. We wanted to know though, like, the difference between a Monday and a Friday.
Okay.
But you were telling me you personally know that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are your busier.
Yeah.
But, so for example, kind of what I was asking is, on Saturday, we're open till what? Well,
Winter
depends on
hours
the-
are till
yeah.
1. 9
So
to 1.
let's say-
Summer hours are 9 to 4.
I kind of wanted to know, so on a Saturday, do you get 8 to 10 loads, but on a Wednesday, you get 6 to 8 loads?
Saturdays, we're pretty busy.
So that's my question. If we're busiest on Saturdays with one person there, how come we can't have one person run it, at least just the days that the truck is being transported to Salina?
One person?
Yeah, that was my question.
Well, we probably could.
If your truck is gone, you won't be pushing things in the pit.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what the laws are statewide, but something tells me is there should be two people out there in case something happens to
In case
one.
somebody falls in the pit, yeah.
The other can cover.
I understand that, but I'm saying if Saturdays are our busiest day
Mhm.
and we have 10 loads coming in on a Saturday, we only have one person there every Saturday.
Right.
So if we have that same 10 loads on a Monday, if one of you's gone to drive to Salina and come back for half of the day, what is the difference between a Saturday and a Monday then?
There's not. It's, I mean, it'd be doable. It's just,
What we're trying to do is stop the usage of an employee from the highway department twice a week. It's 10 hours that they're not working for the highway department that really, when we're kind of short-staffed, we haven't replaced everybody that's gone because we're trying to manage it so that we can afford to pay everybody more, but that we can't pay everybody more if we're just gonna make more jobs, you know what I mean? So if you're able to, or you're able to have someone deliver the stuff to Salina,
I can probably arrange for that in, I imagine, a few weeks or so.
and I understand it's gonna be more difficult when Mr. Hana is spraying. I mean, we know
Oh,
that.
yeah, it is.
No, James doesn't have a CDL, huh?
He's, he let it lapse. All he has to do is go take the test, and he's in like Flint, so get a physical.
Because then if he had it, the days he need to haul
Yeah.
the line, he could do that. Then
Yep.
you could be back here like normal.
Yep, he could do her.
If he's just
And
driving
he's in a-
here in the state, he doesn't have to have the physical.
Well, I went and got mine renewed back in October, and she asked for my physical card.
Well, you have an option of giving it or not, but because you work for the county and we don't go out of state,
Okay, well, she
you don't
asked for
have
it,
to
so.
have it.
So I kinda wondered though, you know, let's say you left to go for half a day to Salina. Do you have a routine to your pushing? Do you push it in the afternoon so there's nothing there in the morning, or do you push it, let it sit all night and push it in the morning?
No, we don't let it sit. I like to have the floor clean when we go home, 'cause animals get in there, you know, and they start making a mess, so. At least have it, and if it gets to where it's spread out too much, you want it pushed back in there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
people can come in and
yeah,
get it on the
cause you might have
floor.
more one day than the
Right.
next, I get that. Well, would you be able to come back to us with an idea as to how you could schedule the trucking? Do we have a certain time slot that
Nope.
we have to go to Salina?
Nope,
So we're flexible when we deliver?
we have to go when it's full, that's all there is to it.
Okay, I
Unless
see
you
what
want
you're
to
saying.
sit around for, in the summer, it doesn't get.
So are you going on Mondays? Because Saturdays are so busy?
We've been doing Mondays or Tuesdays, and since those guys are 4 days a week.
Yeah.
We try and. have
Like,
a load
it
by
ends up being Thursday, yeah, okay. So Mondays are pretty much gonna be impossible to get around, because especially if Saturdays are busy, and it's summertime. Okay.
You wanna buy the other half of your new truck and rent it to the highway department then?
I wanna buy the other half,
Yeah. They own half of it, you own half.
alright,
You wanna buy their half?
Are we currently splitting maintenance and repairs on it?
no, we're
They're-
getting all
No, because
that.
they drive it more than one.
They're
So
doing-
he pays mileage,
Well, actually-
which offsets the price of.
Actually, they've been running that new truck, they got an old junker out there, probably the oldest one in the fleet, so.
For you?
Well, but we
You're-
want the new truck on the road, I think.
I'm flexible, to me, it's just county equipment, so. And they can get, I don't know,
You would want the vehicle that makes the best gas mileage, that is the most reliable, because
That's
you
what I
don't
would
wanna be
think,
sitting
yeah.
on the side of the road
right,
with a truck and a trailer.
And it's
because it
just a
broke
one
down.
afternoon or when do you take it, in the mornings or in the afternoons?
we try and do it in the morning, yeah, usually by 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah, so if they had to use it that day, I mean, it's back
Yeah,
in the
right.
afternoon.
And how long does it take? About 4 hours to go there and back and get back in
Yep.
4 hours?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I'd rather see you have the new truck than let the old truck be broke down on Ash Grove Road somewhere.
finish this discussion now. It's just something we've been touching on, looking at how we're kind of doing some restructuring the highway department, so, that kinda answers my question, but as far as the Saturday thing, cause I know we just have one person in on Saturdays. I moved to recess into executive session for,
One last thing
Oh, yeah.
before, you were saying you probably possibly could get someone to work where you could handle it, doing the drive at your department, right? If he gave you a few weeks, you said.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
just
maybe
gonna,
we could let him do that.
well, I'm just gonna, James is interested in doing it, so,
Okay,
so I
but he has
just,
to get his CDL back up to par.
yeah, he should be able to do it pretty quick.
Okay, well, if he can do that, then we have James do it. Problem solved, right? No highway department's not doing it anymore.
yeah, but it's gonna take out of their budget to make sure they pay that person the
Well,
additional hours,
yeah.
is all that I'm saying.
Yeah, well, we're gonna come out of one budget or the other.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thanks, we'll go to executive session.
Well, even if you scheduled it yourself as the department head so that you know you're hiring James to do it every Monday morning, and then you're gonna determine whether you can do it on a Thursday or Friday for yourself, depending on how busy you are or whether Dan's available out there or not, you know what I mean?
It probably, to me, it's nice to do it later in the week, and since they're 4 days a week, it'd be better to do it Thursday, Friday, nobody's there, so if we're broke down or something, you know, what do you do?
Right,
Okay, I see what you're saying, you have
It's
people you
nice
can
to have
call
the
in to
highway-
help.
right, he could have
yeah.
highway department helping
Yeah.
on Monday.
But I'm
Thursday.
saying instead of paying your employee twice a week, if you take the one trip and he takes the other trip, then out of your budget, you know you're only adding on 4 hours
Oh,
for this
yeah,
person
yeah.
weekly. I'm saying you're just gonna have to look at the budget numbers for
Yeah,
how you're paying for
But think
that.
about if you guys can do that in your department, okay?
Which I guess you're already paying the highway department employee, so it kind of washes out, but it gives you more flexibility in your own budget, which can go to salaries, and, you know, I mean, there are ways to work this so that
Yeah,
everybody gets more.
It could benefit you guys. And you're not dependent on the highway department.
Just think of it this way, if you're paying out 8 to 10 hours a week at $16 an hour for someone to drive it, you can pay half of that to have your employee do it, he gets those hours, then the other half, if you absorb that, everybody can get a raise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, trying to get
Four
different
hours
ways here
times
to,
$17 an hour every week adds up for the year, so.
okay.
I'm gonna redo my motion.
Yeah.
I move to recess into executive session. Do we need more than 5 minutes, do you think? We only have
We're
one
just
to
doing
do.
James's
Yes,
evaluation.
just change.
That'd be
Can't
fine.
More than 5.
Do 10.
I know, but these evaluations are a lot shorter than the last ones.
Well,
From
do
last
6, and that will give you till a quarter after.
Okay, 6 minutes for, the employee evaluation of the landfill
I second.
pursuant to KSA 7543-19-2B, personnel services for non-elected personnel, to reconvene in the commission room with Mr. Jackson, what is his title? What is your title?
Landfill transfer station operator.
Landfill transfer station operator, and the commission.
Jim seconded. Motion's been made to go in executive session with the landfill operator, for 6 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Just so it runs once in a while.
That'd save us money, that's what.
You
There
might
you
want-
go.
You might
Send you a
want-
bill.
If everybody did that, we would have the same hell on it.
Right, but
probably
I'm
won't
trying
buy
to teach
one
how to get
anymore,
internal
so.
raises
No, I-
accomplished.
Yeah, you may wanna look to buy one and the county pay for it, okay?
If I were you, I'd charge Harvey, the sheriff and his guys to come out there and shoot on your property.
Shooting range, that's expensive. Yeah, if you had to go to Slam and do that, it'd cost you a lot.
That
It's
or-
hard to argue with.
that or
people
tell 'em-
carrying
Yeah,
guns.
I don't wanna
Tell them
argue.
that
Tell
they
law
let her
enforcement
slide,
what
they
to
let
do
me
now.
shoot at her once
That's
in a
right,
while.
there you are.
They said it's too much of a liability when I asked them.
They just still go out and shoot the wood pile or whatever out there, but.
There's a berm,
To let
Yeah.
them practice?
They
It's
go out
a
there.
liability?
me,
If
I'm not
him
law
shoot.
enforcement,
Oh.
cause
Now,
I asked them
Go
once.
out to his house on the farm. They shoot up to 50 caliber out there.
Yeah.
That's where I shoot out of my farm.
You-
You know, other people out there.
I was talking to Mike, and I asked him if I could do that. No, it's too much of a liability, don't do that.
Okay, we done because we need to get Dawn going there.
Let me, make
Huh?
a suggestion. When we close these executive sessions, the next line in there is, no action was taken, and I think we ought to take an action. I think we ought to say that we satisfactorily completed the evaluations.
Okay.
just so it just looks like we don't ever do anything, nothing was ever done. And I think we ought to say that we satisfactorily evaluated.
Yeah, we did an evaluation of James Miller.
Well, that's what the subject matter is. The no action means you took no formal action while you were inside the
Which is
executive
illegal.
session.
Which is illegal. It's trying to,
Yeah, I guess
it's-
that's true, yeah.
it's reaffirming that you did nothing illegal by saying that you did nothing.
Yeah.
Because if you did something, it was it was a violation.
Okay,
I don't
well,
think
we
it's really
evaluated-
illegal, but.
James Miller. And,
Well, I was reading it wrong. Never
So
mind.
is that a go on the bottom of that?
Yes.
yes. Okay, thanks, Kerry.
In
That's it?
fact, if you would, we're asking for pay rate. Were you here for the department head meeting? We want a pay scale. We would like a pay scale.
In other words, what,
Would you do the
Take
medium
the
task?
hourly rate that he makes now
I got a bottle
and
of
decide
water in
if
the
that's,
refrigerator
I mean,
door.
obviously it's not
Kerry,
quite
would
entry
you
level
bring it,
because he's been
please?
here for a certain amount of time or whatever, and I think he actually turned down a raise once. So
I-
calculate maybe what that person makes now, and say you have a difference of 5 different levels, you know, he can work his way up to making this much per hour for the performance that he does, because we're talking about succession. So if he quits or leaves for whatever reason, and you need to hire someone in, you're gonna hire them in at a level 1, unless they have some amount of experience, which makes them
Thank you
equal.
ever so much.
Let's say he's at a level 3, and then the top tier is level 5. However you wanna make this, but we want each department to come up with a pay scale, and even do one for yourself, because we wanna know relatively compared to other landfills, and let's like skip over Salina, but go to Ottawa County, look at Jewel County, look at comparative sizes, and see what those people are making. Cause you may be making you may be making $1 less, you may be making $1 more, but relatively, we kinda wanna know where we are in a pay scale. Let's say you quit your job, and we wanna move that person who's working for you now into that position, then he can know what to expect if he took on all your duties. Does that make sense?
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You can email that too, if you want, when you come up with a pay scale, you can just
Oh,
email
okay.
it, email it to the commissioner.
All right.
Thank you.
Don, are you going up, no?
Yep.
Sorry, we're behind a little.
No, you're fine. Are you wanting,
Yeah.
I'm assuming evaluation.
Yeah,
I moved to recess into executive session for,
yeah.
do you need more than 6 minutes?
No.
For 6 minutes for the purpose of conducting, for reviewing the employee evaluation for the clerk's office pursuant to KSA 754319 2B, personnel matters of non-elected personnel, to reconvene in the commission room with the clerk and the commission.
Second, same.
We have a motion and a second to recess into executive session for how long again? 10 minutes?
10 minutes,
Don?
6, she said.
6 minutes.
6 minutes, for the purpose of discussing, county clerk department evaluation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion.
Opinion, but let's just say from 3 years of observation, there was a lot of confusion about who reports to whom and who serves as that supervisory role. Now, I know it's hard because the commission only is in session once a week typically, but with the HR being in the clerk's office, and that's an elected official, so then every employee kind of needing to go through the clerk, do you or do you not report, like, your vacations, like, which department heads are reporting their vacations and to whom? Because the board never receives vacation requests from department heads. I've never seen one. Well, actually, I only started to see them after the time clock was implemented. I should say that.
And that's something that we need to figure out too from you guys, is what is your expectations and what do you want to do?
I think we can clearly streamline that by saying the department heads report all their vacation in advance to HR because she's doing the time clock. Then we can get updates. You know, all this criticism of being micromanaging, that comes from a commission prior that did absolutely nothing as far as that is concerned. I mean, there was no, I never saw, I read back through several years of minutes. Never once did I see, there were no evaluations, so how did they know anything? And there were no requests for that kind of thing. I mean, there were only requests to go to trainings or to spend money, but they're viewing micromanagement as asking for details, but who were the department heads reporting to then? I never saw, right.
Themselves.
Right,
yeah.
so of course that's gonna be viewed now as micromanagement because the department heads have to have some sort of protocol, but I think it can
But
go
I think,
through HR.
and I think they should.
not that the HR is their boss, but that the HR is the information collection.
Yeah.
If we wanted to know something, then we just ask the HR, well, who's going on vacation this month, so that we know. It doesn't have to be a pre-approved kind of thing. If you're the department head, you have that flexibility, but someone should know. I mean, this is the whole communication gap we had in the highway department. When someone disappears for a vacation or a leave of absence or whatever, and nobody knows.
The only thing that I would ask for that, just because our community is getting broken into a lot, is that be something that if somebody is going on vacation and you ask that and they
It's
say
not
that
public
it's not.
record.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Which
Public
they don't have to
info.
come to the board and ask. I think
Right.
they can go straight to HR and just report it. That way, if we want to know the information's there, but months may go by where you don't even ask.
Right.
But let's say something happened at the landfill and we're like, well, where was he?
Yeah.
Well, he was on vacation, you know?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that I've never seen that be tracked.
Yes,
So,
I'm in a commission meeting, can I call you back in a little while?
So I offered
Alright, yeah.
initially, Sarah 16, she counter offered with 17. I thought about it, and I really think that she's going to be out on her own within 3 months. And so I really thought, is it worth $40 a week? And it probably is. So I went ahead and offered her the 17. She has signed that offer. With that, once she does go out on her own, I'd like to see her at least at 18 as the minimum, and then you guys can kind of go from there after that point
well,
in
it's
time.
18 for independence, but then there's also the 6-month increase, right?
That I had told her that we would not do the 6-month increase.
Okay.
So if you decide that you want to, then that would be solely upon you. But I had said 17, once she's out on her own and obtains that, it would be $18 an hour. And I think we as a group of people have to partner together to determine when that is. Because there's going to be things that she can't do, quarterly reports, annual reports, things. She can do the quarterlies, but she won't be able to do the annual reports till I teach her how
Right,
to do
a
them.
year from
Plus,
now,
you
she's
can
gonna
bill out
be
for
helping
those
next.
too, for your time.
Next
Which is
is-
gonna drastically reduce your regular overtime, but then you might just have these spurts of,
And you'll
And-
still have to help her even like December next year to get to that end of the year stuff.
Yes.
So we know that, so but hopefully the more and more she goes, the more less you have to help.
Yes, and
But,
so, I just want you guys to be, or to understand that even when I
Yeah.
say she's out on her own, there's still gonna be a few things, but
Oh, sure.
the majority of her job will be out on her own, and there's
She
just
should
certain
always
things
still
she'll have to learn.
be able to coordinate with you
Yes.
and anything, type of a thing, because a lot of the business HR still comes kind of through you in a lot of ways, even when you're not an HR person.
I'm gonna try really, really hard this time at saying boundaries. No, I'm sorry, you can't talk to me. Because that is one of the things people are used to coming to me, and I
And that's
will
gonna
try
take
to get
time.
better.
Because everybody's still gonna call you and wanna know stuff, you're gonna have to say, call HR. In about a year, they'll figure it out.
I think we should come up with our own checklist for the HR director or what do we?
I would let them get
Officer,
established first,
HR
though.
Human
officer.
resource officer.
I would let them get established first, though, before we go
No, I'm
on
saying,
this.
no, a checklist that says, if the person is asking this, or this, send them to the commissioners. Because there are things that this person will not and should not be able to answer, that are board decisions. They can approach one of us, or they can get on the agenda. But she should have her own checklist to say, they're asking me this, oh, that's one of the things there's no authority in this position to make decisions for her.
Oh, yeah. it's
So we
different.
wanna give her the relief of saying, if they're asking you about this, or if they bring you a road problem, if they send them to the proper department, but then if it's a question about someone qualifying for their extended illness that's not in the handbook or da-da-da, she needs to say that goes directly to the commissioners. Because she will get overwhelmed with representing people, which I think you've done. So they bring you the problem, then you represent it to the commission.
Especially on
They
the-
need to bring it personally.
Especially on that
a department head.
extended leave stuff and all of that gets complicated as hell.
Well, when we were doing the handbook, I noticed it still says a half an hour. I really, really would like you guys to consider taking leave time down to quarter-hour increments. It's kind of a pain, but since our time clock rounds to
A quarter.
quarter hours, there are people that run downtown and come back and they're only gone 15 minutes. At first I thought that's ridiculous, but it would just make
It
it
does give
easier.
flexibility.
It gives more flex time to people to do stuff. I'm not against it, as long as your time clock records it correctly, who cares, right?
Well, that's my thought, is if the time
it's not
clock is doing
abused.
it, because like what I had to do was go back and add anybody that had quarter hours just because they didn't catch that.
Yeah.
So I just think it would make it flow easier now that we have a time clock system. I understand when we didn't, but unless you wanna do half-day requirements or something like that, but I feel like the employees would maybe appreciate it, but.
Yeah, it gives them more of a perk, and, it doesn't bother us that much, as long as it's not abused in one way or another.
So, with that being said, I guess I'm formally requesting that you guys approve to start her at $17 an hour and,
I move to employ Sarah Hageman as the human resource officer, starting wage $17 an hour.
I second that.
We have a motion made and seconded to offer Sarah Hagman job as HR director at $17 per hour. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. None opposed.
And I think I emailed all of you guys on that. It's kind of my goals. I
read them
did
this
kind of
morning.
forget those 2 goals, but if you have some more, or if you think there's something that should not be accomplished the first year on that list, if that's maybe a little overwhelming, just feel free to say something. But it was just like things that I was thinking about that we really need.
Well, I just think we gotta give her time, because it's a big, you're here 20-some years, and so you know a tremendous amount, but it takes 20-some years to know a tremendous amount. So, they ain't gonna come in and know it all real fast, so you gotta understand that.
I think one of the things you might add is just updates to the board, because I don't think we should be asking her to perform any additional duties for us per se
No.
at this time, but she might become accustomed or affiliated with presenting to the board just so that she familiarizes herself, we get to know her, and then we can kind of tell her what we want as far as reports.
And if she has questions,
Not not starting off the bat.
Well, my question to you is, you want her to kind of come and sit during some of the meetings to see
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
happening?
absolutely.
yeah, at least
Okay.
for, not all day maybe, but for an hour or so.
Okay.
When we got, like at 10 when we start.
Well, if she skips the call to order, anytime we're dealing with county departments is huge.
Okay.
And when those highway department, I'm looking at the
It's
word.
the highway department.
Well, anytime the department head comes, then she can be part of the interaction, or at least see the interaction.
That way she can understand the business, what's going on, and then she's gonna be part of that business too, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, she's not gonna be responsible for the financial end of it, but tallying the information or knowing where they are, what their goals are as a department is gonna be huge for
Yeah,
her to
yeah.
represent their concerns to us, so.
Well,
And if she ever has questions, we gotta tell her not to hesitate, ask us all questions, any of us.
What
no offense, but just observing people's body language and their reactions, et cetera, it will help her know and how to deal with people too.
Absolutely.
I think I can.
Where's that go back?
How many employees do we have in the sheriff's department? Well, it's
I
communications
think
too.
there's 4, 5, 6 in the communications.
You might know.
9.
How many do we have total evaluations?
Oh, you got 5,
Yes.
6, 7.
You just have
14?
to wait till it goes to 16.
14.
Oh,
That's not-
Yeah,
that's
we
not-
were just reading that stuff, that ain't gonna take long.
We can personally read, did they do the satisfaction surveys?
I think 3 of them got turned in. And I did not bring those over.
That'll help the payroll.
Well,
We're
you can
gonna do that.
send them anytime, I guess we can just read those. But these are only one page, plus the back is, what, a couple sentences, so what do you think? How much time do you have? Let's start there.
I'm gonna have to leave, I'm gonna go to the hospital board meeting, they got them on Tuesday.
Well, then
so-
we have to, break for that, so I'll make the motion for,
Okay.
I move to enter into executive session, for 20 minutes for the purpose of, reviewing the sheriff's department employee evaluations pursuant to KSA 754319 2B personnel matters of non-elected personnel,
Second, same.
to reconvene in the commission room, the commission, and the sheriff and undersheriff.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to recess in the executive session for 20 minutes with the sheriff department, sheriff and undersheriff to evaluate, to do personnel evaluations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. None
And then we
opposed?
may need more time. We're gonna go with the numbers that we budgeted, but that's kind
There's
of the
several
goal for this
agencies
year.
that do top
Yeah.
out. I know
In our
OPP,
long-range plans, we need to be able to show it to somebody if you're gonna look out, you're gonna figure out where you'd be in 10 years or whatever, somewhere
Well,
down the
he
road.
might be in 10 years, not gonna be me.
You never know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, for James's increase, do we need to come after next pay period, or is it?
As long as you tell him it will be effective this coming pay period and not his last paycheck,
Okay.
it's up to you.
I'd rather do it now and not forget. Saves you a trip too. If it's okay with you, Dawn, that you know that you're not increasing it till after. I move to provide the 6-month employment 50 cents increase to James Reagan, effective, would it be the 26th?
Yeah.
Effective February 26th, 2020.
I second that.
All those in favor vote aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
In addition, I move we reconvene the regular commission meeting too.
We don't have to reconvene.
Okay.
But as
we're
long
good.
as the executive session timestamp is up,
Alright.
then we're good.
We're good.
Do you need anything else from us?
We're fine.
So,
Okay, thank you.
for
Thank
your
you.
time.
What else we got to do?
Well,
Wait on 3 o'clock when Enel comes in here?
yes, but we need to do an evaluation for, no, we're doing it next week. Why do I keep
Yep.
thinking that? We need to sign these. And there was something else. Oh, the minutes. We didn't do the minutes.
Well, I happen to have the minutes here, and I looked at them, and I didn't see any problem with it on the internet. And barring administrative and editorial correction, I move that we approve the minutes of 10 February as written.
No second. Those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
A lot of them, executive sessions.
Yeah. And a little update for you, Dawn, which I'm sure you heard earlier, but we did respond to LaDonna and say that Keith Haber will be coming hopefully on the March 3rd meeting.
March 3rd. Okay.
Yeah. Or no, I'm on the
No.
wrong week. The 24th,
I gotta look.
next week, the 24th.
Okay.
So if you could, I don't know, just write in a time slot, and if he calls and,
Okay.
that's right, it's the 24th, because Randy's not gonna be here, and I just said, would he
Yeah.
be okay with watching the video, and he said yes. So we will just ask him the questions we wanted answers to for his position, about his position, and then Randy can watch his responses.
And we got the budget meeting on the 28th,
The end of the month.
yep, in a month, and then the regular meeting on the 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that meeting is the meeting that the senior centers.
Oh, it's
Council
leap
on
year.
Aging-
I didn't realize.
That's on the 24th, isn't it?
No, we moved that to the afternoon of the first meeting in March.
Oh, okay, I didn't mark that.
Yes, because Randy wasn't gonna be here on the 24th.
Right.
And I think I just went ahead and marked with the entire afternoon.
Okay, so we need to perform the evaluations for these particular people, before they actually show up for their appointments on Thursday.
Correct, and I didn't.
You have 2 whole hours for that, okay.
I
was-
didn't bring down, but I thought
That's
you guys
plenty.
said like 15 minutes
That's
per
plenty of
person.
time, that's plenty, cause we already did the one, so.
Yeah, and you've already done LaDonna, so you've
Yeah.
done 2, so just those people that are,
Well, and hopefully Brendan comes early today, which we can go, we
Yeah.
don't need Randy for that, cause we've already written it
Yeah.
down, so we're just gonna talk to him, so he might be done and LaDonna, and that way, you don't even have her on here, right? So
Well,
that means less we even have to complete before we do the afternoon session.
We're gonna do John Paul and
Oh, I know, the handbook. We have-
Jerry. She has not
We're-
given me her
We're gonna do those in the morning,
revisions on that, yeah.
we're gonna do the rest of the department heads in the morning on Thursday when we get here.
Right.
Okay, and then I'm gonna leave on Thursday, which will have already performed the actual evaluation, so you can talk to them if I have to leave, cause that's my appointment with Mrs.
Okay.
Gochi, am I saying that right?
Yep, go Chief.
Okay.
I really really don't like the 2-column format.
Okay,
Why?
Okay,
you know,
Why?
I can go back
I
and put
feel,
it,
I feel like it's reading the Kansas state statutes.
well, I can do it like this.
The other thing that I'd say, this is the thing that I just wanna kinda point
I
out
can do it
as an example.
With headers and all kinds of stuff like that, if you want.
I kinda feel like it should, unless we figure out, or we add back in all of the, so like when you did the formatting switches, we are missing the bulleted points, cause the bulleted points are the points that are the most important for the
Easy to
reader
read.
to read,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. I think that's why I'm struggling getting through this.
All right.
But the other thing that I wondered too is, so the K-Camp handbook is a lot on the regulatory policies, which I think is really good with the family medical leave, et cetera, but I feel like they have it backwards. I feel like when employees start to sit down and read the handbook, they're gonna say, what is it that affects me the most? And like the family medical leave and URSA.
Oh, you mean the way
Order?
where it's the order?
Yeah.
The order.
I wondered if we shouldn't, like, you know, it had that section of benefits, move the benefits
Yeah,
first.
give me all those notes, that's easy to do, that's just cut and paste.
So, and then I thought, like, maybe if we added bullets, maybe it would make this read a little bit better.
I can do all that.
But, anyways, those were kind of my thoughts, but I have been struggling trying to read it.
12.2, you didn't like the 10-point,
Cause I'm blind as a bat.
well, that's easy, stroke of the pen.
But I will tell you, I think the employees will read, you know, what is the most beneficial to me
Mm-hmm.
first, and if we put all of those regulatory, they won't even make it back to the benefits part of it.
That's, no, easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
we
that's a
need
good
all that in there
suggestion.
because K-Camp has suggested that because they have to adjudicate any difficulties we get into. And I think we would be remiss if we don't have all the technical stuff in there. But
I agree with that, I do. And then that way they have a section to be able to go back to.
yeah, no,
but-
that's easy to do. Let me know what you want. I'll
Okay.
rearrange that for you.
Okay. Well, I will finish getting through the remainder, I'm hoping, this evening.
And I'll
And-
give you another suggestion too. If you have a black and white picture or drawing of the courthouse, I'll put that as a watermark on every page. A little class book. Doesn't cost me nothing.
Okay. Are you thinking like in the background of it, or are you
Yeah, it's
thinking
just,
like
yeah,
little?
you'll see a very faint shadow in the back. I'll just make it a light watermark.
I'm sure we have something.
We signed all these. These go back to,
No,
they're
some
not signed. I
some
see.
are. You have to flip
I
through
got it.
just
Okay.
because of the date and where they're
I got it.
arranged.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, whatever
executive
you
session.
fix,
I
I'll
need
do it.
for about this paper you gave me.
Are you keeping employee satisfaction surveys?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're not doing them, so I would like to suggest that that becomes part of the evaluation again, as opposed to an optional separate piece of paper.
Here's the one that got handed back to me.
Oh, they s-
I will give it back to you. Okay.
What do you think? Just ignore that?
the piece of paper you gave me?
Yeah.
No, I want 5 minutes because I think this is important.
When I worked for the state, if you didn't do your self-evaluation, you were qualified for a raise.
Well, in the employee's defense, the department heads came up with a new evaluation, which I actually personally find to be less thorough than the one we did before, but that's my personal opinion. But when they redid the evaluation, they took out all the questions that the employee was supposed to answer. So now we have two separate things, and they're calling one a satisfaction survey, which is fine to call it that, but it's not attached to the actual evaluation anymore. So really, we don't get to, if they opt not to do it, and it's anonymous, which,
Even my sons work at a company in Hayes, and they are required to do
To give
their
a
own
feedback.
self-evaluation, and if they
yeah,
don't.
self-evaluation, that's the name.
Self-evaluation, they're required to do their own self-evaluation, and if they don't, they are not qualified to get a raise, period.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
Yeah, that's.
Of an organized
that's-
system.
That's what the private sector does, and in my case.
And that's
working for
where
the state.
you have to understand objectivity. The negative feedback does not reduce the raise. it's showing whether or not they're paying attention to detail and analyzing the actual situation and maybe exposing some of the issues within a particular department that need addressed. It's not necessarily because you give negative feedback that you're personally not qualified for the raise. Actually, if you're giving constructively critical feedback, you're more qualified for a raise because you're analyzing and divulging information. Yeah, it's just a...
I think when I first started here, we had an evaluation form that there was the self-evaluation part on the top and then the evaluation part on the second. The next executive session, I'll just pull one of mine out of my own file. So you can look at it as long as you promise not to read it out loud, everything Dora said bad about me. But maybe there's a combination of both, because what I find with self-evaluations is normally a person is harder on themselves than what the employer is.
Which is
Well,
good,
you
which is
take-
good to
you
see,
take-
honestly.
You take what your job description is, and then you say, what have you been doing this year that addresses this job description, and what additional duties have you taken on? That's what you base your, I mean, in the private sector, that's what you base your reward on. Here's your regular job description, but you've taken on these extra things, therefore you are qualifying for more money.
Right, exactly.
You're
I just-
more valuable to the employer, therefore
Right,
get
and that
compensated more.
piggybacks on the conversation that we were having at the table with the health department administrator, because there seems to be a concept that you just make more money for staying longer, not that you are able to make more money for taking on additional responsibilities.
So how long of an executive session?
I just need 5 minutes. I move to recess into executive session for 5 minutes for the purpose of reviewing an application with personal information on it, pursuant to KSA 754319-2B. Number 3, employer-employee negotiations, whether or not in consultation with the representative or representatives.
How many would you like to be here? All of us?
5 minutes. No, I just need you and, to reconvene in the commission room with Dawn, the clerk, and, the commission.
I second that.
Those in favor vote aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion carries.
Well, we need to give him a leadership evaluation, and, you know, he doesn't understand, apparently, that he's not a friend of those people down there. No matter that they work together, it no longer works that way. You're in charge, and you gotta be in charge, and you gotta get things done, it's gotta get done correctly.
Okay,
You
so
can't let anything slide.
we're going to do department head evaluations on Thursday morning.
Yep.
I think that's one of the things, then we can come out of that and then lay out our expectations so that there's some sort of follow through. And there have to be time limits on things, I believe, because I've noticed, you know, the commission only meets once a week. So you put something out there, 2 months can roll by before it even is brought up again. And if it's not one of us, someone has to have the gumption to bring it forward, which may or may not ever happen. So I think we need to just put down a requirement, put a timestamp on it and say complete by, and do it that way. Which I think also we need to do with your new HR position. You know, just say, these are the courses I want you to do, have them done by whatever, you know, April 15th, I want this one done, and have some sort of expectation. And it doesn't mean that they get fired if they don't do it on that date, but there better be an excuse.
How can we rearrange the schedule so we don't have 48-hour shifts?
Well, the problem is, I think now that has happened, which I will say was without actual permission by the commission. That's my concern. But now that has happened, I think we have people that are already working 48 hours somewhere else and now 48 hours here. So you're gonna run into the conflict of messing up their schedule for their other job.
Which, you know, that doesn't bother me as much as not having good medical coverage for the county. We say in our handbook, and I always have, that your auxiliary jobs, secondary jobs take secondary precedence over ours. That's the way it is. That's your agreement when we hired you. And we don't figure that this 48-hour thing is working out to our benefit. We'd like to do something else. Maybe we ought to ask Derek to come up with something else as part of his leadership, that we want you to
Well, and even if you had 48 hours one week, and then 2 split 24 hours the next week, and then 40, there are ways to integrate, and I had brought
But
this
I
up
wanna
before.
see Derek more than 2 days a week. He needs to be more responsive to what's going on around here.
But the problem is, with a 48-hour shift, or 22 24s, we're already paying the 8 hours overtime.
Yep.
But he is exempt.
No.
No, he's not exempt
He's
because he's
not.
performing the duty of the, okay. So now you're talking about any time. We're already guaranteeing 8 hours of overtime to him. So any time above and beyond that is overtime just to perform the management duties while we're already paying 2 people on a crew. And I had brought up the idea of what about, splitting shifts and doing 8s and 16s and da-da-da, and it just was not well received by those who are comfortable with their full pay for sleep time. So I'm not sure what the answer is after you give that kind of schedule, how to undo that.
Let's think on that a day or so.
Well, I think what we should do is at least request him to come so we can have a full conversation
Oh, yeah,
about
yeah.
what we need to know and what is expected.
He is supposed to be coming on Thursday. Maybe that would be a good time to say, let's schedule it.
Oh, to ask him then. Okay, I'm gonna make a note then on my agenda for that day. That's at 1:15. And I think we need a whole, I'm gonna say a good hour to an hour and a half.
Thursday, you got picked, so we don't wanna bump into that.
No.
No, but
She means when
you
he
can
comes.
ask
Oh,
him
okay.
to get on the agenda so it's personalized.
Okay. Anything else, Dawn, from you in particular? Okay, so I move to recess into executive session. Are you done?
I'm done.
Oh.
I'm getting in next.
Now I'm lagging behind. For 10 minutes?
Yep.
10 minutes for the purpose of going over Highway Department Director employee evaluation pursuant to KSA 7543-19-2B, number 1, personnel matters of non-elected personnel to reconvene in the commission room with Brendan Mackay and the commission present. Randy had to go to the hospital.
I second that.
Those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I
Did you
know.
already fill out a satisfaction survey yourself?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I thought it was meant for.
That's
Um,
fine. It's,
And before we start, you kind of indicated that last week that your 60 day, or your 6 months is up.
It'll be
It's
on
not
the
until
third.
March. Yeah,
March 1st. Yes. I said it'd be about close to the 6-month evaluation time.
got it.
yes, it's the week after the
Yeah.
payroll thing changes.
Okay, so you guys said 10 minutes, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, and I'm actually gonna steal this time, so.
Okay. I'm gonna shut this off.
And,
Yeah,
Hi, how are you doing?
good. How about yourself?
This is what Alexis was recommending for the, you. You can,
We have to think.
we'll have to discuss that later.
Sure.
Beautiful day. So
Yeah, if we are,
if I'm
we're
holding
Is
you
it?
guys
I
up
haven't
here,
seen the light of day yet.
I was up at 3:30 this morning, so it's been one of those. It's probably easier just to fly to Missouri and then drive the 3 hours here rather than
Drive to Kansas
go to
City.
Minneapolis and then fly into Wichita. And then,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Oh, you went,
You live-
you flew right to Kansas City,
No, I flew to Minneapolis and then down to Wichita. And
Minneapolis, Minnesota?
Yes.
Then down to Wichita?
then
From,
Delta's
from where? Where was your?
from Boston.
You should try, I
To
think
Chicago
to
to
St. Louis.
Kansas City would,
I've done that. And
you
then-
haven't, you don't like that?
well, it's a 3-hour drive. I think I prefer
Yeah,
to drive.
I said, yeah, it's a little further drive.
Won't you
You
fly
could go
Dallas to Salina?
Chicago to Manhattan.
Chicago also goes to Salina direct.
Yeah.
Dallas to
Yeah.
Salina, yeah.
You could come to
I didn't know
Salina,
that.
but that's more of an expensive plane ticket because it's a small little
I
carrier.
don't.
You don't care about that, huh? No, you can fly to Salina.
The only difference is you have to land in O'Hare, Chicago.
That's a little tricky out there.
Yeah.
Landing in Denver to Salina is a nice flight.
Yeah.
When we wanna go anywhere a long ways away, we go to Denver. But
I know.
anyway, that's all after the fact.
All right, so, I I guess we got the RMA here earlier. Where is it? Did we hand it
You
away?
gave it to,
I've got.
I gave it to Brendan.
that's a
This is our highway department director. You met before, you guys?
Sure have.
And we have the RMA and our attorney has reviewed it.
According to the letter that Jennifer put on it, the only thing that we have not finalized is the amount
Yeah.
for truck.
For the move permits.
Mhm.
Over.
And we have
This is
a
the right away
variation
permit too.
from
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
to $100. I suspect it will compromise at 25.
Okay, just for some background,
Yeah.
although you guys are
Well, Ellsworth
separate
County, I
county.
think is doing that.
So we executed today the RMA and then $25.
Of Ellsworth?
And so we assume that every piece of equipment was gonna be overweight, which will not be the case. You know, try to be fair.
Yeah.
If you guys could meet us halfway as well, certainly appreciate it.
The only thing I found on the RMA was, we don't have a road supervisor anymore. There's references to road supervisor, do you want just to
That'd be you.
verify that to me, okay?
You have director and
Uh-huh.
supervisor.
Okay. That was,
Does that need to, is that in here? Do we need to take that out?
it's on the,
I guess technically it would.
And we owe
I
you
think
an-
we
an
internally
it.
decide who's
Yeah.
gonna fill that
No, no,
role. I think
just-
it's
just
just
for
a
That's no
submittal.
big deal. Yeah, that isn't gonna affect that.
Okay.
just,
So do we, I guess Jennifer looked it over and thought it was okay. We all,
Did she provide any additional revisions?
She
We'll
did-
turn it
she
on.
just put that compliment.
She had talked to Jeremy on the phone and sent stuff back and forth.
Yeah, so I can show you the email, but she didn't have
In fact,
anything
they
else to add.
Tanner involved too, I think, didn't he?
Tanner stuff was in here, the only thing he had
Yeah.
a question on was the voluntary payment agreements. He was worried that.
And that was us.
Yeah.
Separate from, because we do moving
And
permits.
I sat
from-
in on all three of those conversations.
Well, how about $2,000 a load?
How about he
It's
says, we're
based-
not gonna pay you any more money at all, go away.
We've already gone through this. They are bound to their contract. They're pre-disclosing their
But I
interest.
see, I want these windmills on my farm. And I don't want him to put them over in Ottawa County or Osborne.
Tanner's concern was on the voluntary payments agreement was that because it was changing from pilot to voluntary,
Yeah.
that even though this agreement is in effect, because the voluntary payment, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, well, we no longer wish to pay that.
But
That
this,
was his concern.
but I think this doesn't alter the actual agreement for the contract for
No.
10 years.
That's what
No.
you didn't know, that's what.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
voluntary
separate.
payments are entirely separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So are you just referring to them differently in this agreement?
No, it's just, he had changed it to pilot on the first page.
Oh, it did go back to pilot.
No, it says voluntary payment.
Yeah,
He
it
had
should-
changed it on his end to pilot, and he was wondering about that. And then when I
He's-
glanced through it,
But okay, so I guess all I'm saying is they're rewording it in this agreement, but it doesn't reword or change the original agreement that was signed January 1st, 2017. So you're just referring to it
Just
as,
referencing it.
yeah.
Correct.
that's what he didn't know.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's that, and then the mentions of road supervisor, since we no longer have that as a position here,
Uh-huh.
that I didn't know if there'd be any clarification that it'd be,
I think you can handle that.
I don't think that makes much difference, because eventually we may have one and a director,
Yeah.
so then it would be in there anyway. It doesn't affect this lease or contract or whatever.
And then how are we intertwining the bond requirement with the letter of credit?
For the right-of-way permit.
Yes.
So, I guess if you guys are open to it, we would not have a bond in place because you have the letter of credit at your disposal. I mean, essentially, we can have both, but I mean, you have the protection you need if we were to walk away from it, which we're not. And I would just need a dollar amount that you guys would be comfortable with for the bond. If you wanted to go down that route.
This letter of credit does everything bond does, doesn't it?
Theoretically, but
Well,
I
yeah.
guess from a procedural standpoint, in the right-of-way application, it does call for a bond. So if you were comfortable with that, supplementing that requirement, that would work. Otherwise, I can have our contractors pull a bond. You know, typically it's $30,000 to $50,000, depending on the scope.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think what we got's all you need. I don't think you're gonna gain much by going anywhere else.
Well, it says in section 2, under letter of credit, the amount of the letter of credit or actual disbursement thereof in no way limits the liability of Smoky Hills to reimburse county for expenses and costs associated with this agreement.
Oh, you're talking about the RMA.
Well, I thought what the request coming to our table was to assume that the letter of credit was going to basically serve as the bond.
Correct. Yeah, so
Okay.
letter of credit is for the RMA and project as a whole, as you know. And then if you're comfortable with the letter of credit serving as the bond,
I am,
That's
I think it's
That's
letter of
fine.
credit, yeah, that's
That's fine.
all you need, I think.
I do too, because that's a legal document, letter of credit with the bank.
sure. Yeah, you guys could
But
walk
bond-
to the
bond's
bank
just
and
another-
ask for it, right?
What?
You could
Yeah.
show up and say we want it all. I mean, we won't have that happen.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
What's it for, 50,000,
100.
100?
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta speak Italian to get it to what's an Italian bank, you know.
I'm trying to learn.
You wanna
It's
see
a
that,
difficult
that's
language.
that too.
Are you really?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not Italian, you're a little at a disadvantage. But
Mhm.
the way of the world. And then, as far as the RMA, this is hopefully just to get the form approved. We obviously owe an Exhibit A. It hasn't been included. I'm waiting on some more information from Vestas for Smoky Hills 1 to find out exactly what they'll need in terms of road usage. At this point, we're really only gonna be on 120th and Bison for the laydown yard in that initial phase.
So, question, what are the plans for disposal at this point?
We're a little unclear, to be honest with you. I mean, if we have to corral them at the laydown yard for a little bit until we find a home for them, is it something you guys are okay with?
What's a lay down yard, just
I
one
mean,
of
do you
your?
own that? That's your property.
Yeah, so we have a
really, we don't
lease.
have a, yeah.
Right, but I
You
guess
have a
from
lease
Yeah.
for some farmers.
aesthetic and,
Some pastures
Well,
there.
my only
perspective.
question is if you were, there was a mention of like some local options, and my question is, does that become some sort of EPA, some sort of, Sean Esterl question?
Violation.
They have to get a permit before they do that, but
Mhm.
it seems to me like you should have tons of experience in disposing of these things. This
Yeah.
isn't a new problem. How do
it's
they
not,
solve it?
it's just, there's a tax piece to it and how long you need to sit somewhere. And then the other piece is, when we assume a lot of these blades, we then ship them to this contractor who then shreds them up and tries to use it for insulation
Yeah.
and other things. So it's kind of a logistic standpoint in getting enough blades to get it to
Where's
them.
that?
I think it's in Texas.
So you just really just need a place to store them for 180 days or some date.
Something like that.
Yeah.
A little unclear on the timeline. It could be 2
You
years
cut them up
tops.
here? Do you cut them up here, or they just all keep them all one single piece?
I think for now they'll keep them in one piece, try and limit any,
And you just-
Issues, transport, and all that other stuff.
exactly. But, it's on the top of my list in terms of getting some clarity on that, so as soon as I know, I'll certainly let you guys know.
So if you would store them temporarily, like in some pasture up here,
Well, he was saying about their, what do you call it?
At the laydown yard.
Laydown yard.
So if we were to do that from a safety perspective, we get lighting, we'd fence it off, just so that, it didn't attract any.
it's 180 days max.
No, it could be up to
2 years, I don't have a great timeline on it, but I don't think it would be any longer than that. And, we could screen it if that would help on the property, but.
I don't know if that's an issue, what do you think?
It's not part of this, I was just asking out of curiosity.
Well, it's part of the whole project though.
Well, yeah, but we're not reinventing. It's, they know what they're gonna do.
Well, I mean, if we're not using
They just
county
don't-
land or money, then I guess
Yeah.
that, comes after the fact, but.
Sure.
I
As
really
long-
don't have a problem with what's been agreed to.
As long as on that,
The main difference is
up to
the
2 years,
pre, middle, and post
do we have a
inspection.
contract somewhere that says up to 2 years max?
There's nothing in writing in terms of duration.
So it could be 20 years.
It won't be,
But
but
my-
I hear
my-
your concern.
Well, that's what somebody, because 5 years from now, if they're laying up there, they're gonna say, what the heck you doing with all the windmills laying up there?
I know, but if they
But see,
own
I'm
or
worried
lease
about-
property, or
Technically
if you own
private
or lease
property,
property and you use it, the county can't necessarily control what someone does with their private property.
Well, not necess-
Yeah.
You got a financial incentive to grind it up and sell it.
I
You're
know.
not making any money.
But I'm
from
not
that
worried
after
about
the
it.
pasture.
I mean, 2-3 years tops, and
Yeah.
we'll cycle them out and make sure they're gone. And it could be
And when
sooner
you're
than
over here
that.
on this, east over here by Westfall area, you gotta do the same thing over there in that yard up there about what, it's 150th and, not 150th, it's like Westfall Road, which is,
For phase 1,
Yeah.
Smoky Hills 1.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
and-
comes on Colt Drive there, Colt and,
Yeah,
So I
But
have
it's
to,
not,
270.
it's not the same
But you're gonna have
replacement.
parts, you're gonna have pieces up there too, same way, right?
Correct, yeah, not the,
Blades
not the,
Not the blades.
not some blades for Smoky Hill,
And,
but
and,
the
also
gearboxes and generators.
The generators, you're
Yeah.
gonna store up there?
Where do those go?
So-
The old
Up there
ones?
by, I know what's,
They'll
what's,
be drained and then they'll probably come back to the laydown yard. So, I mean, we have to have SPCCs and all the
you got a
environmental
yard up there
protections.
too by
Yeah.
Richard White's place up there.
Exactly, and those will, you know, we'll be able to contain, I think, and put them in.
Okay,
When you
I'm
said
just,
you,
okay, go
sorry,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as long as those locals, people don't complain, that's what's that stuff stacked up there for
Sure.
forever, you know?
Understood. Yeah, and it's on my radar, you know, you wanna be respectful.
Well,
Ruin the landscape with it.
they'll ask
so-
us, what's gonna happen to that, and we say, well, I don't know, then that doesn't make us look very good.
Sure,
Yeah.
understood. I'll certainly get clarity and let all you know.
Okay. All right, thanks. I think it's fine too. You guys fine with this? Wanna make a motion to
I
sign?
lost my train of thought. Oh, I wanted to ask, just out of
Yes.
curiosity, you said you had estimated every load as being overweight just to give yourself a cushion. So
Sure.
how many loads is that?
So that's 400
400.
at 25 per load. So $10,000 is what we offer for Ellsworth. And I don't see it being more than that. I mean, if you double the blades twice, it's 147 plus the construction equipment. I mean, the cranes, from my experience, are really the only overweight. And I couldn't find the posted limits, so I was just trying to be fair and overestimate.
What is the number you're using
For
for the weight? For the
I
overweight
just
weight?
assumed everything was overweight. I
There's an
didn't.
overweight, oversized permit, like the blades.
But what is the cutoff? Like he's saying, if he estimates that they all are, but
It's different.
two-thirds of them
Like
are.
the state is 85.
85,000's max weight, right? Or
Yeah, that's what the state.
And so I was.
what do you guys weigh when you're loaded with one of them?
The
100,000?
nacelle is the
Yeah,
heaviest.
the nacelle and
The nacelle itself, I think, is like 85,000.
well, that's regular weight. You have a real
No, but
long.
that's just the load, not the total
with the
gross
truck.
weight.
That ain't the truck and the trailer.
Right.
Yeah, it's over.
That's another 20,000.
Yeah, it's
So that's
over
100,000.
It's over 100,000.
You gotta get specially certified by the DOT to.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
KDOT. I mean, they're all. I don't know if it's the same as in Missouri, but you know, it's a police escort.
Sure. And those real long trailers.
Yes.
I don't see how you turn the corner sometimes.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to find a map with any of the posted limits. I just assume it's whatever the culverts can take to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that will come out in the
Yeah, so
pre-construction
120th through there, it's legal load size, there's no posting for overweight or oversized. And Bison, I couldn't tell you exactly.
In your pre-construction plans, are
Yes.
you going to report to our highway department what that entails as far as, I mean, I'm assuming, I know some of that was marked like the radii and whatnot, but what
Sure.
about, oh, you know, we've realized that the road base is deteriorated and depleted here, we really need to, are you gonna have any kind of mapping of that and give that to us, or is that just all in-house?
So I think Kirk Michaels is actually gonna prepare that for
Yeah.
Oh,
the
okay.
county.
And that's what Kirk and Michael, their agreement was, waiting for the RMA to be signed. So
Okay.
they could sign the one for Kirk and Michael to do the engineering inspections,
Okay.
bid and post.
Sure. And I was hoping that you or your delegate could join us on that, at least the pre-construction drive-through, just on one. I don't wanna take too much of your
That's
time,
it.
but,
When do we
so
plan
we're all
on
looking
doing
at the same thing.
it? Plan on doing it today, or?
Are you available? I
6
think,
o'clock?
I don't know where Tanner is, I think he's traveling.
Tanner's traveling right now, I
Okay.
spoke to him.
Do we want
But
to
so
make
I'm
motions?
Yeah, I think
waiting
we
around.
can combine
Sure, I was
them
trying
since
to
they're at the same time.
Coordinate
You
for
want to?
20
Yeah, I
Combine.
think we can.
maybe
So one's a road maintenance agreement and one's the
some point at that week.
Yeah, the
utility
24th
permit agreement
is
Both with
when
Enel.
Tanner's up here
with,
anyways.
Okay,
with Smoky Hill Windfarm, actually.
Oh, well then no, they need to be separate.
And we're gonna go with
Yeah.
the de facto 25, because that's what he's got in his contract. So once you sign it, it's done.
25. Yeah. Let's be consistent, Alexis.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to, approve this road maintenance agreement between Lincoln County Board of Commissioners and the, Smoky Hill Wind Farms LLC. Is that who I should make it with, or with Enel, or who?
yeah, it would be Smoky Hills 1 and
Okay.
2 Wind Project LLC. That's our vehicle.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
No, we're gonna
Okay.
have correspondence.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the road maintenance agreement with the Smoky Hill Wind Farm LLC. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, none opposed. I guess we have to sign it here. Before we do that, we have make another motion. I'll make another motion to approve the utility permit agreement between the use of public road right-of-way between Lincoln County and, this would be Smoky Hill Wind Farms Project 2, I guess. It wouldn't be any project.
Project 2, and then I'll submit another for 1.
For one, okay.
I wanna make sure the projects are distinct, at least with that.
I second.
Dawn, did you get that?
I'm sorry, Don,
She
that
got
was
it.
too fast.
No,
for you.
she got it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the utility pub permit agreement, use of public road right-of-way between Lincoln County and, Smoky Hill Wind Project 2 LLC. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. And we will sign these.
Do I need to know that the bond was waived?
Bond's waived and we're just gonna use
Use
the
the letter of credit.
letter of credit.
You want a copy of that, or do you have one, Don? Or do you, I got a copy of it if you want it.
More than likely, yes, I should have originals of everything. Did you bring 2 copies of the RMA?
I did not.
You want me to
Yeah,
sign
I'm
not
this one?
bringing-
Highlight on it.
This one, should I sign that one or?
Let me go make a copy really quick, so he'll have an original.
Here's Jennifer's letter goes with it too.
Okay,
That's on front. And here's this, it's already signed this,
that is
the,
fine,
utility permit.
that's fine, I can just make a copy of
Okay.
that. Do you have the letter of credit?
It's all, the letter, maps and everything's in there, you can take what you want.
Okay,
When do you
I can
anticipate?
send you the letter of credit
okay.
directly if that's helpful.
I think I have one in the file,
Okay.
because it's the existing one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
When do you anticipate starting,
So,
if the weather, obviously if the weather
pull
works
up a
with
calendar,
it?
yeah, we actually have our pre-construction meeting tomorrow, so some of the GE contractors will be here. And we have regular ongoing monthly meetings, so if, I know there could be a quorum issue, but,
Where do you meet?
Not if we don't do any county business.
okay, so you're welcome to attend one of those if you'd
Where do
like.
you meet? Down at that, on off Highway 14,
At,
your
at
office
the
there?
O and M building?
Yeah,
Exactly.
your office there, right, 14?
Exactly,
Okay.
so we'll do that, once a month when things get started. As far as timeline, so now that we have everything in place, the SWIP should be coming from the state imminently, probably today or tomorrow. We'll probably start with the laydown yard the week of the 24th, that'll take 2 weeks, and then we'll anticipate some
Next week?
some deliveries. Does that work?
Yeah, no, but you said 24th, you
Yeah,
mean this month.
the week of the 24th.
That's next
Yeah,
Monday.
yep, next
Yeah.
next week.
Now you're gonna mostly come off I-70 to, 120 at the Bison, right through there.
12th to 120th.
Yeah, 120 is
Exactly.
gonna be okay for you, cause we've had problems with it.
Yeah, so
This
that's,
winter being pretty messed up if it's raining,
sure,
Springs that came up through.
yeah.
okay, that's good to know. It's
And we have
probably,
a $100,000 weight semi going through there. You bet, yeah, some spongy in a few places there.
sure, absolutely, and obviously any improvements we need to make is on us.
Okay, you
So,
can-
that's something,
Like, we can go take a run out.
yeah, absolutely, so
Yeah,
so it
Brad,
sounds
show
like,
him there where it's spongy.
hopefully Tanner Kirkland Michaels will be available to do the part of the pre-inspection. I figure for now, because we're not gonna be using the rest of the site, we just focus on Bison and 120th.
Maybe upon this road agreement, you can fix that 120th and put on some nice concrete about 4 feet deep.
Can't make any commitments, but we'll leave it as
I
good,
know.
as good or better, I
I'm
promise.
joking,
So,
but, well, good luck
yeah,
there.
I appreciate
And
it,
on the, if you do find more solid dates on
absolutely.
disposal, we would appreciate it because the people do see, I don't personally care if they're laying up there in the pasture, but some people might. Then they'll ask Jim and I, Alexis, what's going on, and we could tell them, well, 6 months from now, they're gonna move them out or something,
Understood, and we've been fighting internally over it, so.
Okay,
Remember what to do?
Yeah, just in terms of, the expectation of the contract was we would remove them off-site, it's manifest in a bunch of different
I
ways.
was reading some articles about, retirement homes for the blades and they're just turning into big landfills, is that?
That's not where these would be going, it's just when they go to that contractor in Texas, it's just a matter of when.
so those
What do they
blades,
make with it?
I think they try and test different things, they're doing fiberglass insulation, as I understand it. I know
so
it's,
is them blades fiberglass?
well,
So you
production.
could grind them up and you should think they'd be reusable,
Well,
wouldn't
they're
they?
carbon fiber.
Carbon? carbon like space shuttle time. That's what that was.
Yeah, it's certainly an area of opportunity, I think, for the wind industry. And
Now, do they have like an aluminum rod in between them for stability on those blades?
each blade's a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
When it's safe and you guys are interested, you're more than welcome to come down
Come out,
and see
okay.
one being hoisted.
You know, now, I don't know if this, there were some people in Lincoln City here, they're like historical society people who are, they were thinking it'd be cool. Now, I don't know about this, if one of those blades we could put, say, at the park or somewhere as kind of
On display.
like on display.
You want one?
But then it would be like, in other words, they
I
could say,
think we could do that.
well, we're a windmill community, and they say, wouldn't that be cool to have one of them in our county?
Sure.
We need a big sign on I-70. Let's use the material from the blade to make the sign.
We could
And
just,
then put one on display for, people stop on I-70 and get out of their cars and take pictures. Because,
I've seen it on Google.
yeah,
Maybe-
literally.
maybe
But
stand
then
one
if
of
you
the
go
blades
14
straight up.
miles more, you can grab a bite to eat or use, you know.
Or you could stand one of the blades straight up.
On
And,
Honolulu, they let us go inside and climb the ladders.
Well, okay,
A
have you been to
different wind
Lucas?
project?
That's been 20 years ago when they had Montezuma.
You could climb up inside and tell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
We ought to offer that as a
I haven't even
amusement,
been able to do
amusement
that
park.
yet.
Climb the windmill. And then kill
So
everybody.
as soon
fall
as I
off.
do, yeah.
Have you been to Lucas, the town just,
I have not.
people drive there and stop off of I-70 because they have a fancy public restroom. And they, what do they call it?
Well, the
world's-
Garden of Eden.
It's, no, the
But the
toilet.
new toilet
One of the
is,
best, one of the 10 best toilets in the country.
Really?
and people, I kid you not,
Like
they
an
have
American
tourism.
Standard type deal?
No, it's, you need to go see it.
You should.
Where is it?
Lucas.
Brendan could take you.
Well, it's
I've
just,
never been there, it's the first time.
There you go.
well, not Highway 18, right here on Highway 18, just head about 25 miles west,
Yeah.
and it's there.
Matter of fact, you don't need to take your own toilet paper, cause they got about a 10-foot roll out in the front yard.
Okay.
But,
It's
but-
on the list.
but if
Lucas.
somebody
So we
would-
could at least have a windmill blade to
but if
put
somebody
on
would wanna
display.
get one of them blades, say, for a
If you're
display,
gonna get one,
Sure.
mount it vertically, you could bolt it, concrete pad,
Yeah,
put it
that
out in your
works
front
good.
yard next to
That would be
window.
neat, like a little,
well, some people are saying then the kids would be crawling on them, and then they would be writing graffiti on them, and then, the naysayers are
You
saying
won't
that.
crawl
And then
on
somebody's
these
gonna
vertical
get hurt
blades.
on them, but I would say,
no, he
you
said
know,
put it upright.
Has to be better than the penis that we have out front.
the peanuts.
Yes.
Penis.
Oh.
I am sorry,
You
but
have
that
penis bronze
piece
out
of,
there?
Is that what that is?
no,
Oh.
but that's what it looks like.
Oh, the monument.
Yeah.
It's called art. They call
It's
it
art.
art.
I'm gonna read it when I go out.
I shouldn't say that, cause it's,
I had to kick $75 in for that thing too.
but,
There's
no,
the
really,
original of that.
seriously,
So let's
we
figure it
could-
out.
if we wanted to get one of those, you think possibly we could, huh?
Let me,
I'll let you know.
Yeah, ask about that,
I will.
because they were talking about putting up like
Okay.
a kiosk
Yeah,
where you
my-
could read the information.
Are you signing?
I think if you had one of those
Yes.
vertical, that'd be a neat looking thing.
probably not,
Okay.
cause in case something happens,
Um,
technically it's supposed to be a DP.
got it. So I only have the one signature page on for them? Is that correct?
Yes.
I'll get with you on, Jeremy, on, doing that, seriously.
Yeah.
Or we may want one for, Jim.
If I can get one, I will.
Yeah, if you can, if you can't, you
Absolutely,
can't.
absolutely. And if there's a damaged one, it's probably more,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
likely.
Well, the thing is,
Also-
I know it could be a liability issue.
Well,
because-
once they lay them down the ground, we can go out, pick one up, and carry it off.
Yeah, you're gonna,
One-handed?
Yeah.
I know people with semis and tractors and loaders, and we live in a farm community,
Yes.
We can load
It'd be
around.
like an old barn raising.
We'll just tell a couple kids, whatever you do, don't carry that blade off.
Oh,
Jim needs to sign another one.
I'm sorry, I thought this was the one we just
No.
did. And is this blue?
oh. Do you want Jennifer to sign this too, or is her letter good enough?
If you guys are comfortable with her letter, I don't need a signature on it.
I'd say I can text her
And
and
then
see if she's here.
Same applies for here, for the right-of-way permit.
Yes, that just as the approval as form.
Okay,
Were you,
I'm not sure why
Were
they
you involved
haven't
with the
changed that.
2017 agreement here?
I was not. I was not with Enel at that point.
You guys are putting up a lot of brand new ones all over, huh?
North Dakota, Texas, Illinois.
Kansas too, yeah, more.
Kansas.
Over in Bloomington, right, Illinois,
Um,
doing all those ones?
to be honest, I don't know exactly where. Whitney Hill, is that the name of the project?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the contracts let on Cape Cod's offshore ones yet, though.
Vineyard Wind. Well, I mean,
Is there one out there?
the Outner
Well, I thought the
Continental Shelf.
I thought the
yeah.
Kennedys were gonna block them from
Well,
putting them out in
that
the
was,
ocean.
that was Cape Wind, that's dead.
Oh.
But, Martha,
They don't want them in their backyard, one of those deals,
yeah,
right?
they have a lot of clout. And you can't even see
No
them
kidding.
if they're, 7-8 miles out. But
And are we dating this ourselves or are you dating it once you get everybody's signatures?
if you wanna use today's date to memorialize your signatures, it's fine, and then I can.
'Cause
Which-
there-
yeah, which
I mean, I
one?
did on the
For your own
the
records.
front, but then
Not
on the
this particular, but
signatures
you keep it as
page,
a
I
separate
did
file of your
notarize.
correspondence with
Yeah,
Brooklyn and
and all
Michael
their-
and,
okay,
yeah.
So do you want me to leave this one blank?
Sure.
It's all
And then
in
you'll
the
just
email.
tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, the
It's
only
fine.
thing
The
I think
final
the
date.
commission needs to be abreast
I'll
of
I'll
is
send you an extra
pre, middle, and
digital
post
copy
inspection.
back.
Other than
Do you-
that,
Perfect.
Do you want the originals? I don't need them, as long as I have a digital copy, that's really okay.
Well, I made you a copy, so
Oh, okay, sorry, thank you.
Did we
You're
sign
welcome.
Forgot that's where you went.
yeah, sorry.
we aren't in 2020 yet.
did we sign the other one too, John?
You had already signed the right.
Oh,
of
I
way.
did, yeah, okay,
Yes.
right, yeah. So they're building some northeastern Kansas, are you guys part of that? Or is that a different
We
company?
are not. No, I think this is all we're doing in Kansas at the moment.
How long will this take to do? This, you be done this year?
By January 30th of this year.
Hopefully it fell. with the
Yeah,
weather.
absolutely. I
You
mean,
never know the weather, of course.
latest, Smoky one, I think, would be end of October, November. It's really just ensuring they can fulfill their obligations and deliveries and timelines. But the civil piece is very easy for this project. Now that the hard work has been done, first time around.
One of the little oddities I remember from the Montezuma fields, they let us go inside, the ladders were affixed with magnets. They said the engineering was such that they couldn't drill holes in the wall itself.
This is true.
That doesn't sound good, there's not a lot of engineering slack in there.
Right. You're concerned? Yeah,
Wait, they had not attached the ladder to the wall, so
With
they were,
magnets, they could not bolt them on because you can't drill into that wall.
wow.
it's always a hang-up point is the stairs and the
Why is it
manufacturers in
magnetic?
the civil work. It's gotta be perfect. Well, as opposed to, what, we just super glue it? To the-
No,
to the
but I'm
turbine?
saying, I thought it was fiberglass, how is that magnetic?
All steel.
Oh, yeah. I'm
The
thinking-
the stand
Yes,
of the
got
whole
it,
window.
got it. I was
They-
looking
What
at
is that,
that.
is that
Extension
aluminum?
ladders, but that just didn't work
I
too good.
believe it's steel.
Got it.
They can't drill into the sides so well?
Well, it's so thin,
Structural integrity.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like making a board nail sick, I suppose,
Once you make a drill, then you start seeing little cracks.
yeah.
That aluminum
Make a
should
little
be-
drill in there and
Use
start
aircraft
cracking.
aluminum, they wouldn't have that problem. Like it.
How come you guys
The
don't?
price, yeah, go
Yeah.
How
way,
come you
way
don't,
up.
maybe they thought about it, use heavy lift helicopters to move those blades? It would save one hell of a lot of trouble.
I think it's just the stability from
Well,
a wind perspective.
Helicopters are extremely expensive.
They used to grab, F4s that crashed, lift them out of the jungle,
Yeah.
haul off, and then all the
But
giant
not
towers.
over top of a populated area.
Sure they do.
Well, populated area.
That's military money, Jen. They don't have military.
Right,
All-
yeah,
All the
exactly,
big towers
yeah.
that they put on top of mountains are all heavy lift helicopter hauling.
Sure. It'd be cool. I mean, they do with the transmission line.
They're very expensive.
Yeah,
They're-
exactly right.
Our contractors use it.
They can do it cheaper with trucks. It's money always. You get helicopters in anything, it's unbelievably expensive.
It's true.
Look at what they charge to helivac somebody out of the hospital here in Salina, like $20,000-$30,000.
That doesn't have anything to do with the operating cost of the helicopter.
I know, that's insurance, so.
The people riding in it.
So you're, got our signatures and Ellsworth, so you'll be ready to roll here, huh?
Yes, appreciate it.
Sure.
It was a quick turnaround and a big ask.
Well, if you
on
need
our
more
end, so-
assistance from us for something,
Absolutely.
come back and
Yeah, we're gonna keep you in the loop, we're not.
Brendan, you contact him, the highway department guy, and
Absolutely.
if you wanna pour us new concrete roads, go right ahead.
And get us our pet blade.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, we'll wait and go look at my pasture some other time when you're out here, you're not in any rush. We got plenty of time.
I'm available, so.
he wants you to put some windmills north of town too.
Well, yeah.
He's got a lot of land up there.
Well,
If the- if the
stuff's
wind is
already
right.
here, You just gotta erect it.
Those are, he does live on the Bottom Mountains of Lincoln County, that's about as high as you
So
get.
my
Yeah, Jim, but you're
back
right, how are
tower,
they
I
gonna get
can
out
see
to
below.
that?
30 miles north of here.
Improve it for you, so you don't have to.
Jim, but roads, how's he gonna get out to it? It's a
What's
rock
that?
step, it's rock steps, a 20-foot wide trench or 18-foot
No,
wide trench, how are you gonna get through,
I'm not gonna take him down that road. He comes up the
like down the
highway.
dirt road?
Yeah, he comes up the highway to my place.
We'll have to build the Autobahn.
Beer can hill, that one, that thing's,
Yeah.
you talk about clay.
Well, if he misses the turn on my place, he'll have a worse one than beer can.
You
hill.
better have four-wheel drive, a big four-wheel.
Beer Can
No,
Hill.
I have a Nissan
Now
Rogue.
you have experienced Kansas. Beer Can Hill.
Beer Can Hill?
That's what it is, yeah.
Yep.
Cause it's where the kids would all go and drink, because you can see everything from there, and it's a pain to get up there and get out of there. They can
So
see
the cops are
someone
coming,
Yeah.
you can split.
That's what I-
split the other side.
Alright, I'll have to check Beer Can Hill.
So are we all done with you then for now?
I think so, unless you have
Well,
any
appreciate
other
you coming,
questions.
and hopefully your project works good, and
Absolutely.
if you can, get us a blade or something, or maybe we'll get in contact with you.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was actually
Well,
at the
public-
strategic doing meeting when we talked about
Yeah.
that, and we were thinking, if Lucas can have a toilet, can't we have something
Well,
to
and
draw
also-
people?
Well, and also, we're kind of a windmill town, windmill county here.
Sure,
on
absolutely.
I-70, you know, to have one in a little park or something is kind of a, you know, a monument to
I've
our
got an
county.
admin thing for you.
Okay.
You've heard of Pretty Boy Floyd's.
I have not.
It's a restaurant in Ellsworth, and it's down in the basement, and they're open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay.
And it is a superb place to go. It's Pretty Boy Floyd's. It's in character from the Chicago underworld,
Okay.
and you kinda gotta know where to get. Go to the back door of the police station, and it's across the alley.
Yeah, he'll really find
And
out,
if
you
you
know.
call them in advance, not call them in advance, you need reservation on Saturday, but not on Thursday, Friday. If you tell them,
Do you have that policy?
Right away from it?
they'll ice you down a good
the
bottle of dry
She
buoy.
told me just to go ahead and put
You
it,
drink? I didn't know you drank.
S
No.
and print her name.
But the folks I take down there like a little
Grand
dessert.
Louis, that's alcohol, too.
There ain't enough in that, not as big as my thumb.
Oh,
Do you have
yeah.
anything for us? Okay.
No, you have anything else for me?
Well, yeah, we have these, we've got these gravel agreements and all that.
We approved it. That was his template.
Okay. I guess we approved all this stuff, and then we
I
had,
just need to
and
get
then
you
for
my map, which I'll
the,
do Thursday.
we had this for,
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
this historical society stuff, that's just for information only.
Jeremy, we'll see you at the,
Yes.
I'm not reneging on that path.
Not Jeremy.
We just
Good
gotta.
good luck,
sometime
take
get
care.
up here, we're gonna look.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll get you the pet plate.
Nice.
Try.
Cause you want to keep
I'll do
that
that.
gravel.
Yeah.
Agreement thing,
I can.
and this, that Lincoln County, I guess, we never
Okay.
acted on it, I don't know if we need to.
I don't think so. Here, you need to sign on this.
Oh, we need to sign these?
And then here's that,
A bunch of,
Okay,
we didn't do all
Tyson.
this stuff.
oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, we'll start down
we
here.
already approved this, right?
And sometimes they're upside
Well, yeah,
down.
this one is
Yeah,
the,
oh, I gotta be here.
oh, yeah. We didn't approve the Lincoln Park Manor. Do you wanna talk about that for a minute? Do we want to just go with this ThyssenKrupp for Lincoln Park Manor? I mean, I really
Yeah.
did do my homework
For
and
a
talk
I
to
believe
other
you did.
companies.
Yeah, the elevator.
Yeah,
Yes,
for a year,
for 1 year.
yeah.
Okay, so then I'll make a separate motion for that. That way he knows
Yeah.
it'll be for 1 year.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. I agree with him.
I have high hopes that we're going to have some kind of a resolution of that in the next year or so.
Well, aren't we supposed to receive our RFP here by the end of this month?
She's in the
I think
process of
Jennifer-
doing that now.
She's
yeah.
working on it. I think she's having another attorney help her, cause she's been busy with a lot of prosecutions and stuff.
Crucifying our young youth population.
That's right, putting them
We
in
use
jail.
that juvenile detention center the least.
We what?
We use that juvenile detention center the least,
Yes, we
according to
do,
the
yeah.
statistics I've seen.
I hit up the 298 Education Foundation for some money to buy books last night, and that was a non-starter. I had 3 teachers jump on me and said, we're using 2007 textbooks, and we want to give them no.
So what's wrong with using old textbooks?
Nothing, but I wasn't gonna get in that argument.
I would. That'd be my first place I'd go. Maybe we should go back to the older ones that aren't edited.
some of the schools some of the schools' books have my name in it, so some of them are more than
Yeah. I know
2007.
Well,
As they should be. I mean, you should see what they've done to, especially
What
history.
they do upgrade a lot though is their computers. They get a lot of new computer stuff quite often, and I know they upgrade and change, but
And then
Well, I have
you
my
get,
own opinions about that too.
you get people who think they know math and can't tell you what the piano axioms are too.
Well, no contest there for me.
The first axiom is there is a number called 1. There's 4 of them. And from those 4 axioms, you develop a complete number system. With some study, I might add.
I'm sure. We only need your,
Did you teach math, Jim?
Yep.
What, calculus and stuff?
I taught it all. I've taught
Different-
math for non-math majors in Boston Graduate School, all kinds of
where
stuff.
did you go to school, undergraduate?
Baylor, didn't
You'll find out Saturday night.
you? KU's gonna beat you.
Yeah, okay.
Huh?
Baylor plays KU last.
Put a couple of pictures of Benjamin on the table here and then let's talk.
We'll have to do that, Jim.
Well, it'll be a good meeting on Monday.
Well, I'm not gonna be here.
Oh, well, then he can dance in
I'll
his
pay you
glory
later
land.
if I lose.
Yeah.
What do we need to do now?
You need to sign this, we already approved it, this is for the courthouse, and then I move to approve the agreement with ThyssenKrupp Elevator Corporation for Lincoln Park Manor for the year 2020.
I second that.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to approve,
The ThyssenKrupp Elevator Corporation agreement.
yeah,
They were here to do this one, cause this one is the
Okay.
courthouse, so you just have to sign that, and then, Don, I'll just forward you what he
We
sent
need
me.
the courthouse for 3
motion's
years.
been made and seconded to approve the
We already
elevator
did.
Yeah,
agreement for the nursing home.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Motion carried.
we did the courthouse for 3 with the nursing home only for 1.
Correct.
Okay.
Which I'm gonna give him a call back and just let him know that, and then I think we're good. They'll just handle it from there.
Ask him if he shouldn't
Oh.
call the city and talk about that Montgomery elevator over in
I will.
Harlow.
I'll just refer him to do that. And by the way, he suggested that we've been budgeting paying $488 a month for that. He said what we could do through this course of this 3-year agreement is continue budgeting that and hold back the increased amount,
There you
because
go.
we're gonna have to do like a motherboard transition or whatever
Yeah.
within 5 years, he said. He thinks you have about 5 years until you have to actually replace all that electronic debts of the thing. So we could just keep we know it's only gonna cost us $165 a month for 3 years.
40 or
So
whatever.
we could keep budgeting whatever we've been budgeting for it, and then make sure we know that we're gonna roll that over into the capital improvement and then pay out of that when the time comes.
I need to sign something else.
Yeah, these are those, the courthouse assessment. Jim had a copy, so I didn't keep a copy.
From Trainer,
Yes.
For that owner, would that be me?
Yes. And you had signed and I sent them the originals, but just needed you to sign.
Okay. Were you gonna go to that deal in
Play center?
Play Center?
Yeah, that afternoon. I'll be in Salina in the morning.
I may just go, I know I should take the previous ones, but if you would go, I may go too. I guess it says you don't need. I know I'd probably be
You're
good.
just, they're gonna talk about some things that,
I probably wouldn't know about, but I could still go to, I'm trying
I'd
to,
go.
I might go, if you're gonna go.
I would,
Okay. We'll talk about it later, it's the 18th, right?
get a hold of the Donna and see if
Or the
she's
12th. Yeah, I'll talk to her. Are we done here, everyone? Don, do you have anything else for
I
us?
don't think so.
I think we're good until Thursday.
And they didn't discuss much at the hospital board meeting, just how are they,
Well, I thought they were gonna talk about what they're gonna do for a CEO replacement.
no, they're gonna claim it. She wasn't there.
Yes, sir, what you got, Jeremy?
They just discussed, discussed keeping her and trying to keep, tight.
What are we
tight
doing
the
in
belt
different
up
days?
there.
It's getting pretty
Probably
late
laying
now.
people off.
I still wanna do it, I don't wanna put you
They're-
off,
they're
I
letting
think you'll
people
have fun.
Oh,
going
they're
out and
going
looking around.
And they've cut back a lot of
Yeah.
most of all that,
They took away
the
the.
contract nurses, which I told them, you have $30,000
Yeah, let's
a
do it
month.
next time you get to town,
And
give
now
me a
they
holler. When you
bid
get
it,
down some of your planning
Which
sessions.
I talked to,
Alright,
what's
Okay,
Bob
we'll see you,
about, and
Jeremy.
also,
Yep.
and so, about that, he went to the level with them about in Granville, and then all of a sudden it hits the fan, and so they apologized basically on that, so that's why, that's why I'm still for them guys, I know you maybe don't like them, but.
It's not about like, though. I wanna clarify,
No, I
it's
know.
not about like,
I
it's
know.
that when you bring someone to the table and they can't explain the math, I have a problem with that.
Well, but he was, I know what you're saying and all that whole deal with that deal, but, we're not, first of all, they're not gonna do no clinic anyway, so that's way off the table. The thing is he's very knowledgeable right now of what's going on, that's why I'd like to see him on there, that's the only reason. Cause she needs help, and you get somebody else in there, they don't know nothing, that's the only reason, Alexis. You know, it's like you guys, you know twice as much
What
as
you
me and
got?
Jim, and if
Oh,
you're
no.
gone in here, I don't, you know, when you're here, we know a
Anybody
lot more
else?
from 30 years experience. That's the same thing with them guys, and I know you.
It doesn't mean I'm always doing what's right, but
No,
it
but
does
you
mean
know
that
a
I have
lot.
some insight.
Experience is worth a lot.
But
right
you
now,
can also experience doing something the wrong way.
but right now, we're in a tough situation up there financially, and we need all the assistance we can get. And them guys, he knows more about anybody. That's my whole purpose for this here, ain't nothing else. You know,
I would
wanna see
still,
it-
I would still like the math explained to me though, because a loss is
Oh,
a
I
loss
understand.
is a loss
Oh,
is a
what
loss.
on the depreciation thing with
Greg,
Medicare
where are
and all
you?
that more.
But I'm saying, no matter how
Okay.
much you increase
I know.
your actual reimbursements, they call them,
Yeah.
if you're still going to experience a loss,
Well,
if you just take the scale, it exponentially grows,
Well,
and you may be
you know,
able
we
to
could
cover the gap
enter
to
in
keep
shed
it
and stuff
the
like
same
that.
loss, but you're still
Make you
talking
feel
about a
welcome,
percentage,
you'll stay.
not a
That's
dollar
it.
amount.
No,
So
I know what you're saying.
even if you did more business, you're still only getting 80, let's say you get 85% coverage just
I
with
know
the
what you're
increase
saying.
in your,
You put a lot more
Great.
capital gains than you're
All
getting
right,
back in
well,
return,
good.
bottom
I'm
line. I
glad to
realize
hear
that, that's what, but they were playing that game for a long time, trying to, you know, because they were getting a lot of grant money
Well,
and
you come
donated
there
money,
now?
so they thought that incoming money was paying for a lot of that capital
I can,
gains, that's
yeah.
the reason.
Where
And
are
then
you?
they get that much more Medicare reimbursement. So it wasn't like it was their money, it was a lot of grant money. See,
Well,
so that's their pitch.
Okay, I'll get.
But I kinda
I'll
agree
get
with
down
you
there a little
too,
bit, you
cause
tell
you're
me
still
what
gonna
it
pay
means
for
when
all
I
that
get
overhead
closer.
and all that stuff too.
now, if they
No.
said something like this, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna take those two
Yeah.
doctors that are contracted, and when they turn over their contract in 2
Yeah.
years, we're gonna make them work for the hospital too. Then we're gonna be able to take a portion of their income out of the hospital, so we can reduce the loss in the
All right.
clinic. Maybe
I'll
now
be
we can
down
talk
within the
numbers, you know
hour.
what
Well,
I
maybe
mean?
that'll be happening. This
Right.
new CEO, she'll
4
talk to you
o'clock,
sometime. She
well,
wasn't there
it's,
today, I don't know
Yeah,
if
so I
she's
go
Quarter to
Thursday,
4.
I'm gonna leave
Yeah.
this meeting to go
Well, you
Thursday.
be, but she, yeah, she,
I'm gonna have to
yeah,
run.
tell her all
All
your
right,
concerns,
I'll
I
see you.
did.
All right. See
And,
you later.
I think,
Yep.
you know, you got good, you know, so we'll be all right.
Okay,
Do you want me?
Are we
I'm
adjourned?
off on Thursday. Want me back
You-
for that?
you're actually done.
Okay.
Yeah, you're actually
Figured I'd
done.
check before that.
Yes,
I
and
think
thank
we're
you for
adjourned,
getting
'cause I gotta run
everybody's
down the hall.
evaluation
Okay.
in on time and
Meeting
Thank you.
adjourned,
We
meeting
quit.
adjourned, Don, meeting adjourned, at 3:44, whatever it is.
Did I bring the coat? Yeah, I had to come back.
This thing for Jennifer wasn't this.